Good afternoon. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Knoxville, Knox County Planning Commission. My name is John Huber. I'm the chair of the Planning Commission. I will be conducting today's meeting. Assisting me today is the Executive Director of Knoxville, Knox County Planning, Amy Brooks, and the Planning Commission Attorney, Tasha Blake. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. DeArmond, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Browning.
Here.
Commissioner Levinson.
Here.
Commissioner Boyer.
Here.
Commissioner Barger.
Here.
Commissioner Overton is excused. Commissioner Perez. Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Butler.
Here.
Commissioner Biggs.
Here.
Commissioner Daly is excused. Commissioner Gill.
Here.
Commissioner Midas. Commissioner Adams.
Here.
Commissioner Huber.
Here.
That's 12 present, sir.
Thank you. Participating in the meeting today with me are planning commissioners who have been appointed by the mayor of the city of Knoxville or the mayor of Knox County. We receive no salary and volunteer our time as a service to our community. We will be supported by our professionally trained staff, representatives from the city and county engineering and permitting departments, as well as other agencies. Now a word about how discussion will take place. I hope all of you have had the opportunity to review today's agenda package on planning's website at knoxplanning.org. In addition to today's agenda, the website contains a tremendous amount of information on how today's meeting will be conducted, as well as correspondence on individual cases. I will call each item on the agenda and read our staff's recommendation for that item. Once an item is called, the applicant or those in support of the application will be allowed to speak first. They will have a combined 5 minutes to speak on the matter. The applicant may defer their right to speak first to the opposition if they so choose. Likewise, anyone opposed to an application will have a combined 5 minutes to speak on the matter as well. If either the applicant or the opposition wishes to have an opportunity for rebuttal, they will need to reserve any remaining time from that original 5 minutes allotted. Because of the number of items we have on our agenda today, groups in favor of or opposed to any item on the agenda are asked to appoint a spokesperson to represent them. All speakers for or against an item should limit their remarks to the facts of the case and should avoid repeating information that has already been presented to the Planning Commission by previous speakers. The Planning Commission may grant additional time for presentation if they so choose. If you have any items that you'd like to make part of the record, please submit those documents to knoxplanning.org/share, or you can hand them to one of our staff members located on your left. If you do so, please identify the file number and the meeting date in your submittal. Many of the items we will vote on today will require further action by either Knoxville City Council or Knox County Commission. For matters that are forwarded to City Council for final action, the applicant or their representative should be present at the meeting at which the request will be considered. This is an important difference. For matters that are forwarded to County Commission for final action, the applicant or their representatives must be at the meeting the request will be considered. If an applicant does not attend that meeting or the representative, the case will be at a minimum postponed and could potentially just be denied. All applicants will be notified of the city and county meeting dates. If you have any questions regarding the meeting date process, please contact one of our planning staff. Today's meeting will be conducted in the order of the agenda. Please stand as you are able as Vice Chair Levinson leads us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. So we start out with the automatic postponements, which we have one, item number 48, Watt Development LLC. We have two. Item number 48, Watt Development LLC, as well as item number 52, Hanny Joseph. Those are automatic postponements. We have one automatic withdrawal, item number 10, the final plat of 11W Properties, Inc. We do not need a vote on those. We will now move to the items to be postponed for 30 days. We have 3 items to be postponed. We will need a motion and a second for those. The first item to be considered would be item number 29, Stephen W. Abbott Jr. Item number 49, 0 Locust Hill Lane. Item number 50, Mainland MCA Knoxville. Are there any other requests for 30-day postponements? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion for the 30-day postponements.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Barger and seconded by Commissioner Browning. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. We do not have any 60-day postponement requests, or we have one 90-day postponement request. Two, I apologize, we have two 90-day postponements. Item number 16, Unique Construction LLC. Item number 38, Andrew Thomas. Are there any other 90-day postponement requests? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
Second.
We have a first by Commissioner Barger and a second by Commissioner Browning. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. We move on. We do not have any withdrawals this month. We do not have any tablings. We are not removing anything from the table. We are now moving on to the consent list. Do we have any recusals from commissioners on any of the consent items on our agenda today? Okay, seeing none. If you've had an opportunity to look at the consent list, is there any request for a removal of an item on the consent list? Anyone? Commissioner Anderson.
I'd like to remove item 43.
Item number 43, okay. Okay. So, yeah, okay. So it appears we've had several people in the audience sign up to speak on 3 of the consent items, one of which we just pulled off. Also is item number 17, Worley Builders, and item number 23, DSSD Development LLC. So we will pull those off as well. Is there any other items that anyone in the audience would like to pull from the consent list? Yeah. And you can always come up after I read them to request they be pulled before we vote on. Thank you. Okay, so we will start with the consent list. Item number 2, approval of October 2nd, 2025 agenda. Item number 3, approval of September 11th, 2025 minutes. Item number 5, final plat of Isbell Estates, Phase 2. Item number 6, final plat of Catlett Cove subdivision and re-subdivision of Lot 1 of Catlett Place. Item number 7, the final plat of the reserve at Three Ridges, Phase 2. Item number 8, final plat of Bellhaven subdivision, Phase 2. Item number 9, final plat of the enclave at Harvey, Phase 2. Item number 11, Jason Rance, Gossett IV. Item number 12, David M. Seal, Jr. Item number 13, Rick Shepard. Item number 15, Zachary Lee Myers. Number 17 is pulled from the list, Worley Builders, and will be read at its original time. Number 19, Leonard Development LLC. Item number 20, Mike Stevens Homes. Number 23 has been removed and will be read at its original time. Item number 24, Benchmark Associates Incorporated. Item number 25, Addison Stantacroce Whitmer. Item 30, Judy Graham. Item number 31, Ron Hodge. Item number 32, Sharonda Burton. Item 33, Manish Chowdhury. Item number 34, James D. Bask. Item number 35, Belltown LLC. Item number 40, Jesse Alarcon. Item number 42, Robert Parsons II. Item number 43 has been removed and will be reheard at its normal time. Item number 44, David Bruce Hamilton. Item number 45, Steve Young. Item number 47, John Greer. Item number 51, Ashley Ballard. And item number 53, Joseph Hall. That is our consent list. Is anyone in the audience, did they hear one that they want to pull off, other than the ones we've already pulled off? Because once we vote on all these, there will be no more discussion.
I move we approve.
Okay, hang on just one second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you can approach the podium, please, and state your the podium down here, ma'am. Down here. And if you could just tell us your name and address, you might want to pull the microphone down a little bit. Just pull it down. There you go.
Sharon Mellis, last name is spelled M-E-L-A-S, 510 High Avenue,
And which- Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah,
37920.
thank you. And you wanted to pull one from the consent list?
No, I'm wanting to know, we were supposed to be here today. The number is 10E25PA.
Do you know what number it is on our?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. And it was, say the file number again?
10E25PA.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that one has actually been postponed for 30 days.
So do you have a date? What date would that be? Do you know?
Our next meeting is November 13th.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. At 1:30 Thursday, 1:30 in the afternoon. Yes,
Hello.
ma'am. Yeah.
My name is Nancy Voith, and we have a property very near number 53 McCullough Avenue, Joseph Hall. We would just like to understand more about the usage and the hours and who would be coming and going, that kind of thing.
Very good. We'll remove that from the consent list, and it will be heard at its normal time on the agenda then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, just to clarify, we are voting on the consent list, and we, as read, with the exception, we are going to pull item number 17, Worley Builders, item number 23, DSSD Development LLC, item number 43, Benjamin C. Mullins, as well as item number 53, Joseph Hall. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion by Vice Chair Levinson and seconded by Commissioner Barger. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, the first item on our agenda today is agenda number 14. William Dale Roten is the applicant. The location is the south side of Abner Cruz, north side of West Governor John Sevier Highway. It's 1 acre tract. Present zoning is ag. The requested zoning is planned residential up to 7 dwelling units per acre. Staff recommendation is to deny the planned residential zone up to 7 dwelling units an acre because it is inconsistent with the intent of the zone. Is the applicant present? Yes, sir. You want to come down? I'm sorry, if you could come down and we're having trouble hearing you down here. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, it's William Dale Roten, 4315 French Road.
Very good. Is there any opposition here? Okay, we do have. Would you like to defer?
Defer,
or?
please.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Roten.
that means I get to reserve at least 2 minutes of my time for rebuttal. Is that
You
correct?
will have a total of 5 minutes.
Yes.
So if you speak for 3, you will still have 2.
Great, thank you. My name is Linda Schoen. My husband and I own 415 Abner Cruz Road, and we have owned that property since 1994. We recently purchased 413 Abner Cruz Road, which is a 1-acre lot adjacent to that. And I'm here today to tell you that denial of this rezoning is in the best interest of our community. And we do have a community there. Right around the property that's being requested for rezoning, there are about 23 1-acre lots or so. And most of those people have owned their property for over 30 years, just like us. We think that it's a disruption of the character of a long-standing neighborhood to have apartments built on a 1-acre lot. And even though it might front John Sevier Highway, will still be impacted on Abner Cruz. Over 2,000 new units are being built in the South Knoxville area. So we don't have a housing crisis in the South Knoxville area where we need more apartments. And for 7 units to be built on a small 1-acre lot, they're going to have to go up rather than out, which means that you're going to be having a tall building looking down on 1-story homes. Advanced Knox specifically references that development should be sensitive to the surrounding and existing community. Homeowners are stakeholders in our community. We have pride in our community. We have low crime because people have lived there for a long time and everybody knows each other. So we ask respectfully that you deny this rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Show. Mr. Roten, would you like to speak now?
Thank you. Does the map up there, my main thing I'd like to show is that it goes all the way back to Lowe's. If you go all the way back toward, there you go, right there. As you can see, all this subdivision, the part there of the commercial is the South Grove Shopping Center. And of course, there's sewer down to, and right next to the RB where my spot is, there's a road there, Dick Ford Lane. So the corridor between right there at Dick Ford Lane, all the way back to the shopping center, which is not hardly a mile, but every piece of that property, except for 3 lots, is zoned RB zoning. I was here and approved 13-0, as you noticed, on RB zoning a year ago. I went to the county commission, and they wanted me to include another small lot I had in that, which I did, had a small house on it. It was 0.12 acres for the house, so now it increased the size of the lot. But they did not want to go the 12 per acre on the acre lot. My commissioner did, but he understood, I understood, so we were reducing the density level down, and that's why I put the 2 lots together and why I'm applying again today. It was postponed because I had some total knee replacement. Therefore, I had to come back to you guys again today. But this was approved on the smaller lot size, 0.89 acres, I believe, last year of RB zoning, and then that happened on the county commission. Now they've taken the RB zoning away at this lot. You got to be a P7, PR7. The reason why I said 7 is because I got 7 grandkids, like from having a little condo for something there. It's not apartments, though. I don't have any intention of dealing with apartments. It'd be townhouses or condos or something of that nature. But anyway, it's all that property up through there is of course on John Sevier Highway. On the other side of John Sevier Highway, if you go back all the way to the shopping center, they are building 250 apartments right there. You can see the big block. It comes halfway down to where my property actually is. And then you got 8 per acre next to it, 7 per acre next to it. So that's why I applied the lowest minimum there was, because I don't want to destruct this neighborhood. I had actually, I was living there. I lived across the street there for a long time on Charlene. I had my uncle, my father-in-law, both lived on Dick Ford, very familiar with the area. And I wouldn't want to disturb the area, but I do want to put something up there that's nice. There's a trailer that's really an eyesore next to it that needs to come down, and I wish we could. I left that house there because when the county commission wanted me to put them together, I was gonna wait till I put them together, they get it approved, and then take the house down. It needs to come down instead of remodeling, because it looks bad, may not have a choice to remodel it. But, anyway, this was approved 13-0 last year on a smaller track. I really didn't expect this to happen, of not agreeing to go, or I'm sorry, I didn't agree to recommend this. It's said because of the area, but I mean, everything in the area is RB. I mean, it may not be now, but everything is on there because there's a duplex right across the road. As you can see, they're building these things now everywhere. So I don't want to destruct the neighborhood, I won't, but I would appreciate your vote to let me continue to go back to the commission and try to get them to, it was 5-6 is what the vote was. And I think I can get one other vote when I reduce this density down through them. And I would appreciate your approval, because it's a lot better for me to have your approval to go to them than not. I know I can appeal it, but I really would appreciate your approval on this, and I won't destroy the neighborhood. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Roden. Did you, Ms. Shaw, would you like to say another word?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You have
If you look at this map where he references the RB zoning, look at the homes, single-family homes. There is one duplex, I believe, on this property, and I actually own that duplex. My mother and father lived on one side, my caregiving sister lived on the other side. It's been in the family, living there since 1994. So I would not say that there are multi-family homes there across from his property. They're single-family homes, and every property up here in the RB zone has one dwelling on it, one single-family residence. I again respectfully request that you deny this rezoning. And I would also say that not even duplexes are allowed in this area any longer according to the new zoning or the old zoning, because now they've reduced it from 2 acres down to 1 acre. You have to have 2 acres now to have a duplex. So nobody can even go in there and put a duplex in with the current zoning, is my understanding. So thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Is there any comments or thoughts from commission? Ms. Hillman. Chair will entertain a motion to. Ms. Midas, Commissioner Midas.
I appreciate the neighbor coming out and speaking. You know, I believe staff has this right. This is a very intact, single residential family developments around here. I think 7 dwelling units on that small acre is too much and too intense. I wish it was a lot less than that. But I guess if there's no discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve staff's recommendation to deny the PR for 7 dwelling units per acre.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to deny the planned residential at 7 units an acre by Commissioner Midas and seconded by Commissioner Adams. All in favor, say aye. I'm sorry. There's another, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson. I didn't see you over there.
That's okay.
You're good? All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Again, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to item number 17 that was pulled off consent. This is applicant is Worley Builders Incorporated. Location is the east-southwest corner, northeast side of South Gallagher View Road, northwest of Westland Drive. The approximate size of the tract is 5.5 acres. It's currently agricultural. The zoning requested is planned residential up to 6 dwelling units per acre. The staff recommendation is to approve the planned residential zone with up to 6 dwelling units an acre because it will bring future land use into greater harmony with the surrounding residential development subject to one condition. Is the applicant present? Mr. Worley, if you could state your name and address.
Ron Worley. I reside at P.O. Box 70515, Knoxville, Tennessee, and I will wait to hear what the questions are.
Very good. Is there any opposition to this request? Yes, please. We've got two. If you could state your name and address, please.
Hi, my name's Melanie Schrack. I live at 875 South Gallagher View Road. There are two of us. Do I need to split the 5 minutes?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
Okay.
you have a total of 5.
Okay. I live in one of the properties on South Gallagher View Road that faces directly onto the lot in question today. I think our biggest concerns is when we looked at the application, Mr. Worley checked that he was planning to engage us prior to the meeting today, but we have not heard from him. And we just had concerns regarding the road. It is only 15 feet wide, very small. So we just had questions and concerns regarding traffic and construction and the impact of adding potentially 33 houses to this small road. And so that is our big concern today, and we would just like to postpone until we're able to have that meeting with him and get clarification.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Senrak. Is Mr. Abbott, is that?
Hello, I'm Ken Abbott. I live at 830 South Gallagher View Road. Our concern is that intersection where the two Gallagher Views come together with Lawn Park. There you go. My wife and I, between the two of us, have nearly been hit 5 times at that intersection. If you put another 50 cars going up and down that dead-end road, I'm afraid there'll be a lot more accidents. I think that it should exit onto Gallagher View and maybe even put some speed bumps in there or something to slow folks down. They're talking about widening that road. That'll take out some old growth trees and shrubs and things of that nature. I don't think it's going to help. So basically, I'm not here to try to change it. I just want to make sure that we don't widen that road and bring all of that traffic onto that Gallagher View Road. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott. Is there one more, sir? Yeah. If you could approach, please. So I don't see you on the list over here. Did you?
I pre-registered, sir. My name is Kirk Schleifer, Sierra Charlie Hotel, Lima Echo Indy Foxtrot Echo Romeo.
Very good. Can you state your address for the record, please?
I'm sorry, sir?
Your address for the record?
945 Station View Road. If you look up at the map, the one with the swimming pool in the backyard, that's mine. My question is what the planned development is on the east side of South Gallagher View Road. My main concern is that's got a small hill in it. So when they level that out to construction, what are they taking into account for water drainage? Because it is, as it is right now, we live at the bottom of the hill. And when it rains or rains heavily, there's a stream that forms back there. And I'm afraid that when they level that out to put a building pad there for however many units, and I couldn't find out how many units they're trying to put in there, that I'll end up with a flood in my backyard and my neighbors. I've lived there since 2009. My neighbor to my right, 949, has lived there since the houses were built. And he's got a drainage ditch or a drainage hole in his backyard, but we're concerned about what the drainage effects will be. I'm not against them building there.
Right.
I just would like to get more information on what they're taking into account to how the drainage will change.
Very good, yes. And today's request is purely about the rezoning of the property, not about the design plan. That has to come back in front of us again, so that will get reviewed, and we have certain safeguards in place to make sure that that type of flooding doesn't happen. But if you're done with your comments, I think Mr. Worley might be able to address a little bit of that, possibly.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. As Mr. Huber said, we're only here today for the rezoning. So when it comes to determining the exact plan that I could put in place, it would depend on, your recommendation and then the county commission approving the 6 units an acre. I guess to maybe address the first lady, I reached out and talked to several people. I've been out there several times on the property, and I did not meet Mr. Abbott, but I did talk to his wife a couple times, and we've discussed their concerns out there on site, and a neighbor that lives across the street in that PR5 development. So, you know, when I've been out there several times, I've reached out and talked to anybody that had questions and tried to just explain to them what we are doing. Again, at this point, we're just getting it rezoned so we can come up with a plan that fits that piece of property and blends in with the area. Let's see, I guess Mr. Abbott's question had to do with the road, and I'll kind of just defer that to the fact that Knox County Engineering will make me do whatever I have to do with the road to comply to whatever kind of a concept plan that we could get approved, which would be the next step if we get past the rezoning. And then to the last gentleman's question about drainage, again, Knox County Engineering will force me to make sure that the drainage on the property is no worse post-development than it is currently. So we'll have to comply with all that. I guess I would just like to reiterate that the staff recommendation is for approval, and I'll just read a couple items here on their reasoning. It says surrounding development and recent changes support the requested PR zone with a density up to 6 dwelling units an acre. The subject property has functioned in a more industrial manner for many years, with noxious gas storage and a rail line terminal existing on the property. And just respectfully ask that you'll approve the PR 6 units an acre. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Worley. I think it's worth noting, too, there is one condition associated with this application from staff, and that speaks directly to the road. It says widening the westernmost fork of South Gallagher View Road per the requirements of Knox County Public Works. So as Mr. Worley had alluded to, it appears that staff's recommendation and the Knox County Engineering Department will require some road improvements in that area for this development. So that is part of the record. Just wanted to make that known. Any questions from the commission? Staff will entertain a motion. Ms.
Make a
Martin.
motion to approve the PR zone with up to 6 dwelling units per acre, subject to the one condition.
Got a motion to approve at 6 dwelling units an acre by Commissioner Barger and seconded by Commissioner Anderson. And then we have, we're good? All right. All in favor say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 18. The applicant is Sasha Cole. Location is southwest side of South Gallagher View Road, southeast of Gleason Drive, 1.42 acres. The current zoning is RB General Residential. The zoning requested is OB Office Medical and Related Services. The staff recommendation is to approve the OB Office Medical and Related Services zone because it is compatible with surrounding development and provides a transition of land use intensity. Is the applicant present? You can state your name and address for the record, please.
Sasha Cole, P.O. Box 10409, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37939. And I'll defer if there's any.
Is there any opposition in the crowd today? Seeing none, you're welcome to proceed.
Oh, well, I really would appreciate your approval. I'm glad that you guys see that it's in conjunction with your future planning. Right now, it's PR and across the street's OB, but in the future, you guys have some really cool plans. Across the street, they have the corridor use, and then you guys are changing the RB to SMR, I believe, which is, I'd rather do a small footprint with 1.42 acres instead of putting a 12-unit complex. I believe it's going to really, really well in the neighborhood, so I really appreciate your approval.
Very good. Any questions from commission? Chair will entertain a motion. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Barger and a second by Commissioner Perez. Is that right? Yes. And so all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
All right. We are now on to agenda item number 21. The applicant is Benjamin C. Mullins. Location is east side of Bakertown Road, across from the eastern terminus of Burton Newman Lane. 6.36 acres. It's currently agricultural. The zoning requested is planned residential up to 4 dwelling units per acre. Our staff recommendation is to approve the planned residential zone up to 2 units per acre because it is consistent with the Knox County Comprehensive Plan, subject to one condition. Is the applicant present?
I am. Ben Mullins, 550 West Main Street.
Is there any opposition in the audience? Seeing no opposition, Mr. Mullins, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. I know there were quite a bit of comments online about this. Most of the comments seem to focus on the request that we originally made of 4 dwelling units an acre. This is in the SR place type, which allows PR considerations from 2 to 12 dwelling units an acre, and it's in the planned growth area. But looking at staff's report and looking at some of the correspondence with my client and engineering, the road it does narrow down to 18 feet in some places, and that would only allow 2 units an acre if this were in the rural area. So staff's recommendation of the 2 units an acre with the condition of a 50-foot buffer. I believe it's along the top and the back of it is where the 50-foot buffer is. That would make a really nice large lot 12 unit subdivision. My client is agreeable to that, and we'd ask that you approve per staff's recommendation.
Very good. If there are any comments from commissioners, Chair will entertain a motion.
I move we approve as per staff recommendation.
You got Vice Chair Levinson on a motion to approve at 2 units per acre, and second by Commissioner Barger. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
All right, we are now on to agenda item number 22. Noe Sanchez is the applicant. The location is the west side of Breakville Road, south of Asheville Highway. It is approximately 1.66 acres. The present zoning is RA, low density residential, and requested zoning is RB, general residential. The staff recommendation is to deny the RB general residential zone because it is too intensive with the environmental constraints on the site. Is the applicant present? Yeah, if you could come down and state your name and address for the record, please.
Noah Sanchez, 323 Breakville Road, Knoxville.
Very good, thank you. Is there any opposition to this application? Seeing none, you're welcome to speak, sir.
I've been a couple of months ago here, but I changed my mind trying to relocate more units. So we're trying to develop and just kind of put a road in the middle and just one interest to the property and just have about 17 units. That's our main goal.
Okay. So you're just trying to get more units on the property, that's your
Yeah,
ultimate...
that's pretty much it.
Commission, do you have any questions about the file? Commissioner Biggs.
Yeah, what's the current density allowed with the?
It's zoned RA right now. Ms. Hillman reviewed the file. Would you like to speak to, it's RA going for RB. RA is generally considered up to 4 units an acre.
Yes, that's correct. The request is for RB. It's RA with a condition that there be only one access point to Breakville Road. And the applicant doesn't have an issue with that condition.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Midas. Mr. Biggs, are you still? That's
sorry.
okay. Commissioner Midas.
I think my concern was when I was reading the staff report that they could do a 12-story multifamily building on that piece of property. And, just surrounded with agriculture and knowing that area, I just felt like that was not compatible and that RA was a better fit for it. I don't know if anyone else has any comments. I'd be willing to make a motion if not.
Commissioner Anderson.
I really have more of a question and just curious for people's input. This is the second one I've seen today where I've kind of questioned what zoning is being asked for and whether or not it's appropriate for what the intended use is. You know, with the, I guess, a kind of a stream down the middle of this, would this not be more appropriate for a PR zone of some sort?
That could be a question for Ms. Hillman. However, I don't think the applicant
Yeah, I'm
had.
just curious.
Yeah. That wasn't the request, but I don't know, Ms. Hillman, if you could opine on that.
I mean, the PR zone is intended to address environmental constraints on a site. This is a somewhat small site for the PR zone's periphery boundary of 35 feet, but that was not really what staff contemplated. We considered what the applicant requested.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner Gill.
I was just going to probably point out the same as Commissioner Anderson. I think that this stream being around the front of the property where the one access point is allowed and it being as close as it is and really cutting that property in half makes this a really challenging site to put any sort of density on while still respecting that blue line stream, which is clearly on the map. I think that I also wondered whether a PR would be more appropriate, but then again, 1.6 acres is not really big enough for a PR development. Not to say that we have major constraints on that, but the buffer that would be required on that would limit the amount of density you could even put in there, regardless of what density we would put it at. I don't know if this piece of property is appropriate for multifamily given the constraints of the site, and I think staff got it right. I suppose with that, I'll go ahead and make the motion to deny per staff recommendation.
Second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Gill and a second by Commissioner Midas to deny the RB general residential zone because it is too intensive with the environmental constraints on the site. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it.
Thank you.
Chair Huber. Chair Huber, the second was from Commissioner Butler, no.
My apologies. We'll record that. Thank you.
Okay, 23.
Okay, very good. We are now on to agenda item number 23 that was pulled from consent. The applicant is DSSD Development LLC. The location is south side of Bluegrass Road, northeast side of I-140. It's approximately 8.98 acres. Current zoning is agricultural. Zoning requested is planned residential up to 5 dwelling units an acre. The staff recommendation is to approve the planned residential zone with up to 5 dwelling units an acre because it is consistent with the comprehensive plan and compatible with surrounding development, subject to one condition. Is the applicant present? Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, Scott Davis, P.O. Box 11315, Knoxville 37939.
Very good. And I think there's a Mr. Green that requested to speak. Yeah. If you could come down and state your name and address for the record. And Scott, Mr. Davis, do you want to defer?
I'll defer.
Okay, very
Yes,
good.
sir.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Green, name and address for the record.
Yeah, it's Jerry Green, 1942 River Sound Drive, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37922. Where this development, what he's doing there, my family owns the farm that's all the way across to the right on both sides of Bluegrass. You know, the days of having agriculture down there, I mean, it's gone. So I have no problem at all what he's doing. You're not going to change that area. I mean, everywhere down through there is subdivisions now. You know, 50 years ago, my family's had that farm for over 100 years. And 50 years ago, I can remember when, you know, you went down to Ebenezer, there was nothing. You went down Bluegrass, you went down North Shore. There was none of that down there. So, you know, I don't have a problem. It borders our property around it. What he's doing, I'm sure he'll do a great job. he's done a lot of developments around here, so I don't have any problem at all.
Very good. So to be clear, you are in support of the application?
I am 100% in support of it.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Green.
All right.
Is there any other opposition or in favor? Mr. Davis, would you like to speak?
Can I speak in opposition? Now, thank you all for your time. I respectfully request you all approve as per staff recommendation.
Very good. This chair will entertain a motion. We have a motion by Commissioner Barger and a second by Commissioner Anderson. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
6, very good, thank you. Don't go far. So we have item number 26. The applicant is Masana Investments. This report this file will take 4 motions if it is approved. We have a variance, alternative design standards, a concept plan, and a development plan. So again, the applicant is Masana Investments. The location is the south side of West Governor John Sevier Highway, east of South Point Road. The acreage is 4.76 acres. The current zoning is PRK, up to 8 dwelling units an acre. The number of lots requested is 29. Again, this one will require 4 motions. Our staff recommendation is to approve the variance to terminate Road C without an AASHTO turnaround. And there are listed 3 reasonings behind that. Motion number 2 would be to approve the alternative design standard based on the justifications provided by the applicant and the recommendations of the Knox County Department of Engineering and Public Works. Motion number 3, staff's recommendation is to approve the concept plan subject to the 9 listed conditions. Staff's recommendation on motion number 4 of the development plan is to approve the development plan for up to 29 attached houses on individual lots and reduction of the peripheral boundary as shown on the development plan subject to 2 conditions. Is the applicant present? Mr. Davis, is there any opposition in the crowd? Anybody signed up for this one? Nobody signed up. And then seeing no one. Mr. Davis, could you state your name and address for the record?
Yeah, Scott Davis, P.O. Box 11315, Knoxville 37939. Respectfully request you all approve as per staff recommendation. Thank you.
So I have a question. Thank you. I've got a question for engineering on the variance and the alternative design. You guys have reviewed these plans and are comfortable with the AASHTO, with the lack of the AASHTO turnaround?
Yes, on Road C, the distance is less than 150 feet, so the fire code would not require a turnaround there. And so we're comfortable with that.
Very good. And as well as with the alternative design standards, you've reviewed those and are comfortable with that?
Yes, we are.
Very good. Okay, does any commissioners have any questions regarding this file? Chair will entertain a motion. Got a motion by Commissioner Barger and a second by Commissioner Anderson to approve the variance to terminate Road C without the AASHTO turnaround. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it.
Make a motion to approve the alternative design standard based on justifications provided by the applicant and the recommendations of Knox County Department of Engineering and Public Works.
Got a motion by Commissioner Barger and a second by Commissioner Anderson to approve the alternative design standards. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it.
Make a motion to approve the concept plan subject to the 9 conditions listed.
We have a motion by Commissioner Barger and a second by Commissioner Anderson to approve the concept plan subject to 9 conditions. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it.
Make a motion to approve the development plan for up to 29 attached houses on individual lots and reduction of the peripheral boundary as shown on the development plan subject to the 2 listed conditions.
Got a motion by Commissioner Barger and a second by Commissioner Anderson to approve the development plan for up to 29 attached houses. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. That is it. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Yes, 27, okay. All right. We are on to agenda item number 27. Let's see here. This is a subdivision report, concept development plan. This one will require 3 motions. There is a variance request, as well as the concept plan and the development plan. The applicant is Masana Investments. The location is the east side of Hill Road, south of Fort Sumter Road, north of Cabbage Lane. The acreage is 14.3. The zoning is planned residential K, up to 3.75 dwelling units per acre. The number of lots requested is 50. Staff recommendation on the variance is to approve the variance to reduce the K value from 25 to 20 at Station 4 plus 62.36 on Road A. There are 3 reasonings behind that listed in our staff report. The second motion for this application, staff recommendation is to approve the concept plan subject to 7 conditions. The third motion required on this file staff recommendation is to approve the development plan for up to 50 single-family homes on individual lots, subject to 2 conditions. Is the applicant present? I see Mr. Davis. Is there any opposition to this plan? We do have one person, Mr. Stan Naley. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Stan Nally, 8100 Hill Road, 37938. I'm assuming this is the appropriate time to address any objections to the development plan. Is that correct?
It is, sir. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. I have 2 concerns about the development plan. The first is, as you all know, that the county commission mandated a 30-foot buffer around the entire perimeter of this property to provide a buffer between the existing residents and the new development. It looks like from this plan that on the north end of Road A and the cul-de-sac end of Road B, that the lot owners will own part of that buffer, will own all of the buffer, part or all of the buffer. And so my concern is this: with the lot owners owning the buffer, how is that buffer going to be protected in the future? It's unreasonable to expect that future lot owners, seeing it as their land, will not clear the non-disturbance buffer to gain more backyard space. With a 15-foot backyard, as shown in the typical lot size detail, they're naturally going to look at that 30 feet of buffer and want it to develop more backyard or to run dog runs or other purposes. So my request is this: request that the non-disturbance buffer not be included in the individually owned lots, and that the buffer should be protected by a permanent physical barrier such as a fence. Otherwise, over the future years, as we go into future generations of buyers, it's just going to promote misunderstanding and possible litigation. And it leaves the surrounding neighbors to enforce the buffer without this buffer being protected by it not being owned by the individual lot owners. So that's my first concern about the development plan.
That's your first concern, or do you have others?
The only other is a comment, and I know that I've reviewed the extremely small lot size proposed. It's in the bottom right-hand side of the development plan there. And I just make this comment. I know it's within the ordinance, and so I have no leg to stand on there. But in saying that this development is in character with the rest of the surrounding communities is not really accurate. These lots are less than half of the smallest lots of the surrounding subdivisions. So I respect what he had to do to get that many lots into the zone with that 150-foot wide TVA easement running through the west side. But the lots are just awfully small. That's my only comment.
Very good. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Neely. Mr. Davis, if you would like to comment on the application?
I appreciate your all's time. It already said my name and address now. Yeah, respectfully request you all approve as per staff recommendation, and we're not opposed to an easement on the back of those lots, a 30-foot buffer easement. We intended it to meet the intent of what the zoning request was, but we will also go one step further to put easement on the back of the lots that touch the adjacent properties, just as an extra protection for the neighbors. And we'll agree to put that as a condition on the plat when we record the final plat on an easement on the back of those. A non-disturb easement.
So for clarification here, we are talking about, give me a second, probably lots 17, 18, and 19?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay.
Could be, I can't see the numbers very well, but there may be one little piece of
Yeah, it looks like 17, 18, 19.
17, 18, 19, possibly a little piece of number 20, maybe, I can't tell.
Yeah. Okay.
As well as the lots on the front, it looks like 47 through 41. They're also on the
I'm sorry, Ms. Warner, say that again?
lots 47 through 41.
47 through 41 at, okay, there's another one, right. Yeah, there's another cul-de-sac that cuts off there that, is that, would you be comfortable with that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it sounds like the applicant is open to helping remedy this issue on the final plat by recording an easement over encompassing the 30-foot non-disturb buffer. Is it a non-disturb buffer or is it just a buffer?
It's non-disturb.
It's non-disturb buffer, very good. Okay, so that would be on lots 17, 18, 19, 40, and 41. Is that?
There is a little bit on 21.
Okay, yeah, 21 then. Yeah, I guess you could run it all the way down, yeah. That's what I thought. So, Mr. Davis, it's been pointed out that there's a few others here towards the front of the subdivision. Would be lot 41 through 47 as well.
Yeah, and then, you know what, just for clarification purposes, for any reason why the numbers would change for any reason, as
Right.
opposed to having defined lot numbers, if we clarified that and said any lot that backs up to and/or is adjacent to another single-family residential property, we would agree to the 30-foot buffer easement.
I think that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's great. I like easier. Okay, is there any other questions? Hopefully that satisfies the concerns of the neighbor. Chair will entertain a motion. Yes, sir, you do, I believe. You know how much time you have left?
Well, I appreciate Mr. Davis's agreement to put this down in an easement. Keep in mind, that's just paper. And when one of the people buy one of these lots, 40 through 50 or 17 through 21, that's not going to keep them, when they look at their 15-foot backyard, from going into that easement area and building something. I think there needs to be a physical barrier, at least for these lots, to indicate to the home buyer that, hey, that's the other side of this is not your property, is not for you to build on. And an easement carries some weight, but it's not going to prevent the homeowner from developing that 30 feet.
Thank you. So I've got a question for engineering. If there is, a type of easement like that, is that an enforceable, if somebody gets into that easement, is that something that Knox County Engineering can step in?
It is. It's probably tough on us, but it would be the only tool we would have is to put an easement over it. To address his concern, though, we wouldn't issue permits, so they couldn't go in there and build anything within the easement. So there'd be no permits issued for that area.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions or comments from commission? Commissioner Briggs.
I was just going to ask, do we need to add like an eighth condition then?
Yeah, I would suggest that. Is there 8 or 7 already? There's 7, yes. So you would add an 8th condition to the concept plan. I guess the wording you can try to craft about at the final plat stage that the developer agrees to record a 30-foot non-disturb easement on any lot that backs up to a residential home. Commissioner Adams, is that kind of 30-foot easement?
30-foot easements and non-disturbance easement for any home that was directly beside or adjacent to the property. I would say borders. Borders? Does that cover both of those instances?
Mr. Elliott, do you have any wording that we could use here?
I just want to make, sorry,
Yeah,
I just
we're
want to
just
make sure
trying
that we're articulating it correctly.
Yes,
because
and that's what we're trying to do here. So, Mr. Elliott, do you have?
I think Mr. Davis had good, if you'll
Okay.
repeat that, I think it was something I was agreeable to.
Now you're testing my memory. We would agree to a 30-foot non-disturb buffer easement on the back of any lot that is adjacent to another single-family residential property.
Did you catch that, Commissioner Biggs?
That sounds good to me, and I wasn't necessarily volunteering any language, so yeah, I'm happy to.
Yeah, we're just trying to get to, get it down and get it right and make sure everybody's
Let
protected.
me just ask a clarification on that. On any lot that has common area next to it, that wouldn't apply, though? I don't want us to double up the,
It's not backing up to it. It's not adjacent to it either, though. I guess that common lot's between. So I would say, yes, it does not apply.
I think you could just make it per the zoning condition, which outlines where the non-disturbance buffer is, which is the perimeter of the subdivision. And Whitney, you might be able to help me out. I think it basically doesn't require it where their property touches Hill Road near their entrance, like lot 48 through 50, but pretty much everywhere else would require that perimeter.
Isn't there a drawing on the case file on the plat that shows us exactly where these properties are? So it would be any time that the property line intersects with the required buffer as noted on the plat, which is drawn with a big red line on page 9 of the case file. There you go.
I think the idea would just be to establish that it's where the non-disturbed buffer is on their lot and not in common area. I think that's when we were counting those lots before.
Right. I mean, I think maybe we can just reference this exhibit in there. You think that would be suffice? So yeah, instead of going through all the other gyrations of trying to identify lots or be as generic, we can say per, what page is this? Per the preliminary grading plan with the red border surrounding page 9 of the agenda package on this file. Anybody want to take a shot at a motion?
That makes it too easy.
I was going to say, I mean, the language perhaps is just anywhere where the lot intersects with the required 30-foot buffer. Just leave it at that. If the lot doesn't intersect with it, it doesn't need it because it's either common area or
Agreed.
it's not within
Yeah.
the buffer, so it doesn't matter.
Totally agree, and I will
So-
lean on you, Commissioner Gill, in
Okay.
just a moment, but give me a second. We need to get through the variances first before we get into the actual concept plan. If someone would make a motion to approve the variance to reduce the K value from 25 to 20, and real quick, before we do that, just want to reach out to engineering to make sure you guys have taken a look at those three reasonings behind the variances, and you're comfortable with those.
Yes, we are good with them.
Very good. So motion, or Chair will entertain a motion to approve the variance.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance to reduce the, sorry, I'm trying to find it. To reduce the K value from 25 to 20.
We have a motion by Commissioner Anderson and a second by Commissioner Barger to approve the variance to reduce the K value from 25 to 20. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Now we are on to the concept plan. Mr. Gill or Commissioner Anderson, if you'd like to take a shot.
Since I opened my mouth. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve the concept plan, subject to the 7 listed, or 8 conditions, with the 8th being that an easement on all lots that intersect with the required 30-foot buffer, non-disturbance buffer.
As exhibited
on page 9 of the case file.
I think that's great. We have a first, or a motion by Commissioner Gill and a second by Commissioner Barger. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. And now, anyone on the development plan for up to 50 single-family homes on individual lots?
Make a motion to approve the development plan subject to the 2 stated conditions.
We have a motion by Commissioner Anderson and a second by Commissioner Barger to approve the development plan for up to 50 single-family homes. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you all for your time and your service. Thank you.
Very good. Our next item on the agenda is item number 28. The applicant developer is 6125 Riverview LLC. The location is the north side of Asheville Highway across from the northern terminus of East Governor John Sevier Highway. The zoning is planned commercial and CA general business. The number of lots is 16. This one will take 5 motions. We have 3 variances separately, a concept plan, and a development plan. So, buckle up. Is the applicant present?
I am. Ben Mullins, 550 West Main Street.
Very good. Is there any opposition to this file? Not seeing any. Mr. Mullins, you have the floor.
Appreciate it. I appreciate staff's work on this. This is an additional step in a multi-step process for a multi-million-dollar reinvestment on this property off Asheville Highway and the river there. You know, this we're planning, a commercial node with some future ball fields and then some future development, most likely some type of residential at some point. This is really a concept and development plan to allow us to get the major roads in and allow us to move forward some of the grading and rebalancing on the site that needs to be done. There are, the variances, there was a recommendation to deny a blanket variance. I think the revised staff report actually goes in, and we talked about this at the agenda review on Tuesday, with some of the roads and the very specific ones, and kind of took away that blanket variance and focused just on what we need. And so I think the variances are fine. The only thing that I think we need some clarification on is there are 3 conditions that sort of relate to the grading that we've been talking to Mr. Reynolds and to Engineering Public Works to get some clarification on it so we can, kind of move forward on this. In the concept plan, we have condition number 11 that was recently revised, and I want to make sure we're on the same page there. This is, this property used to be a part of a demolition landfill. And there was a Phase 2 study about 30 years ago that identified some issues. We've had a Phase 1 on the property now, and Phase 2 has been commissioned and is moving forward. Staff's condition, number 11, prohibits any grading until that Phase 2 is completed. We think it'd be appropriate to limit that condition to the prohibition from grading just in the areas where the Phase 2 is needed. There's several parts of this property where there isn't a Phase 2 being conducted or it isn't needed, and we know exactly what those areas are. It's also important to note that this property has been accepted in the state brownfield program, and so we'll have to meet any state regulations with regard to any disturbance in those areas as well. So there's already sufficient protections in place with regard to the areas where there might be some environmental concern. That way, it doesn't hold us up from doing any other grading on the property that may need to be done and protects the areas that there is a concern for. I don't think there's an issue with engineering public works, but I don't want to speak for them either. You're happy to speak with them about that. On the development plan, there's 3 conditions, and 2 of the 3 I think we need to discuss just a little bit further and get some clarification on. The first one is condition 2, which is kind of a holdover from the master plan that was approved a few months ago. As you'll recall, we agreed to a 100-foot conservation area along the riverbank. There, in the approximate conservation area you can see there is an existing tree line that comes out as far as 150 feet on some parts of that, and staff was worried about us grading and disturbing into that tree line as well. And so when we did the master plan, we didn't know exactly where we were going to do the grading, so they limited any disturbance into that 150-foot area, and just underbrush and things like that. This plan does show some grading and some cutting and filling in that 150-foot area. Staff's recommendation number 2 kind of wants to leave that be until we move forward with a development plan with the specific uses. But in order, when we start moving dirt on the areas we can, we want to go ahead and move that dirt. And so the grading plan does show areas where we will be grading into that 150-foot tree line, and we'd ask that you approve it per the plans that we have submitted. The third condition is regarding, the portion of the parcel 072002, which is just recently zoned PC, and the undisturbed portions of the ridge there. We have some cut and fill planned in that area. We have a reforestation plan that we submitted. We haven't put specifically where we're going to do the reforestation, so staff, there it is. Staff wanted us to come back with another concept plan. That's the way I read this condition anyway, so I'm seeking clarification before we do any of the grading there. What we would like to do is go ahead and submit for a grading permit, and at that time submit our reforestation plan to Planning and Engineering Public Works and let them look at that and approve that administratively, so we don't have to come back through planning. We're not asking not to do the mitigation, the reforestation, just not to have to come back through this body for a development plan that it would also include that, so we kind of may narrow the issues there. So we're asking for administrative approval on that. So I know I'm out of time. Happy to answer any questions, but with those 3 modifications, we'd ask for approval.
Thank you, and I failed to actually read the staff recommendation in the beginning, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now for the record. Staff recommendation on variance 1 is to deny the variance to reduce the intersection curb and right-of-way radius from 75 to 25 feet at all intersections because the reduced radius would be detrimental to the long-term maintenance of the public right-of-way as recommended by Knox County Engineering and Public Works. See the attached variance form for the applicant's justifications of approval. Their staff recommendation on the second variance was to approve the variance to reduce the minimum vertical curve K-value on Road D from 25 to 15 at Station 0 plus 55.57, subject to concept plan condition number 8. The variance number 3, staff recommendation is to approve the variance to reduce the minimum vertical curve K-value on Road D from 25 feet to 15 feet at Station 2 plus 04.24. All of those variance number 2 and variance number 3 have items listed out in our staff report as basis for their recommendation for approval on those. Again, motion number 4 on the concept plan was to approve the concept plan subject to 13 conditions, one of which the applicant has an issue with, number 11, I believe. And motion number 5 would be to approve the development plan for this commercial subdivision with up to 11 lots in the planned commercial zone with a total of 16 lots, and the rough grading plan subject to 3 conditions, which the applicant has an issue with number 2, I believe.
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Okay. So my apologies for not reading that out in the beginning, but I think you covered a lot of those questions and with that. So with that, I will open it up to commission to see if there's any questions. This is a big development, and it's somewhat complicated. It's a large site. I think staff's trying to balance some things in there, but I think it's important to try to keep it moving forward as well. Any thoughts or comments?
I remember when this came through before, and I know it had to come through a couple of times because we had to send it back to make sure that the previous plan was not still activated and free it up so that this usage could come through. And I remember the conversation about the buffer around the river's edge and that being something that the body said, we really want to protect that. So I'm concerned that one of the things that, if I'm hearing it correctly, that the applicant wants to do at this stage is to remove that buffer. I'm not understanding the.
For clarification, and I will ask Mr. Mullins, but
Yeah.
I think it's more of, they're not necessarily wanting to remove it. They have it in their plan at 100 feet versus 150 feet. So I think the request is they're fine with the 100 feet, but not 150. Does that make sense?
And
It does, but before you answer, Mr. Mullins.
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds, can you clarify that? Was our body's determination 150 or was it 100?
So the master plan had a conservation area along the riverbank that was approximately 100 feet. So it meanders. It's not totally 100 feet in all areas, and it kind of stretches out to 100 feet in some others. Staff, because what they were asking for with the original master plan was to be able to do some rough grading before they even came back to this body with any new approval. So there was conditions that said, if you move forward with rough grading now, we want you to stay out of the tree line along the riverbank. If there's a tree line within 150 feet of the riverbank, just stay out of that. And also there was a condition of areas that were already that have remained undisturbed, which is primarily on the east side of the site. And so with a new development plan application, we could consider grading closer than 150 feet or into those tree lines. It's just, we didn't want that to be a blanket approval to just allow rough grading indiscriminately without seeing a development plan come before the body. So.
Okay, so I'm tracking, and I hear you, Chair Huber, about it was 100, and that the vagary there seems to be that sometimes the tree line is 150, sometimes it's 100, and the guidance was to essentially follow the existing tree line and not start grading other than just slight little brush cleanup.
So I guess my question would be, and this is a clarification for staff, I don't think there's anything in there that says they couldn't, if they wanted to, come in with a development plan that removed all 100 or 150 feet of it.
Correct.
It's just right now they're, trying to, on a rough grading permit. I mean, I guess my opinion is they're willing to, for sure, do 100 feet, down through there. And until they come back, because they could come back with a development plan that shows they need to get into that 100 feet. And
Right,
then
but we would have a chance to look at that stage and
That's
make a
right.
determination whether that was in
Totally
the best.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we would, but I feel like, because in looking at the grading plan, where I know we don't have any actual uses yet, but there is a large parking lot that's going to be there. It's not technically a use, but it is a parking lot. If you look at the grading plan, it gets into that 150 feet, so it's a bit conflicting to me, where we say, hey, the applicant wants to do something here, we're requiring them to come back and, bring in a development plan, and then you can get into it. But once you have the uses, we're saying, once you have the uses in here, we can, we'll look at letting you get into that tree line. However, we have the use. The use is a parking lot. We already know what it's going to be. And that grading plan requires getting into, down to 100 feet. It doesn't take it all the way down. I'm just making an observation by reading the plans on that. Commissioner, or Mr. Mullins, sorry.
And that's right, and there's a balance between the two. The condition that we're referring to says that the approximate conservation area, which is the 100 feet that we recommended and that we agreed to voluntarily, must remain undisturbed other than the underbrush. And then it says, including the tree line that follows the bend of the river approximately 150 feet from the riverbank, unless a subsequent development plan application is approved by the Planning Commission that allows this disturbance. So at that time, they didn't want a blanket. They wanted to see what exactly you wanted to disturb and not go in there. And so, and we can scroll down, you can see, I saw it a second ago. I don't know if it was up or down. You can see it there. You can see where the tree line is compared to the 150 foot and then the conservation area. And if you scroll down there does need to be some balancing and grading in order to level out the property. I think it's maybe further down on this. So we have a rough grading outlined here. See, I know it's a big packet, and maybe it's up. Nope, there it is. And so you can see there's areas where we are getting into that 150-foot grade line, or tree line, and while we're doing that. And we're fine with moving forward to the areas we can and doing that reforestation mitigation with that, but we are going to have to get into that 150-foot tree line in certain places, and this plan presents that for review, and so we're asking that it be approved with this plan, subject to the other condition that we also submit a reforestation plan when we ask for our permit, so we know where we're going to replant the vegetation that we have to disturb.
And I just wanted to clarify too, I believe the grading plan gets closer than 100 feet to the riverbank, particularly towards the south end. So the master plan spoke of an approximate 100-foot conservation area, never said it was going to be exactly 100 feet. So I just wanted to clarify, when we talk about the 100-foot conservation area, it's not entirely 100 feet. The intention is to have a corridor of a conservation area along the river, just so I want to make that clear. It's not a static 100-foot all the way.
I appreciate that, and I think what I'm attached to is the idea of that until we have a complete plan, that corridor of protection, so that we have some tap on the pulse of what it is, as opposed to going ahead and just saying, move forward.
Right, and that's why I'm trying to strike a balance between, protecting what staff wants to protect, but also allowing the developer to move forward and do what they have to do.
And how, I'm going to blur issues for just a second, but in that kind of trying to find a happy medium spot, the areas that have not been disturbed yet, which are also part of the protection effort, it seems like the applicant is wanting to impact some of those now as well, or am I misunderstanding?
That's a question for the applicant, but I mean, looking at it, that one area in the corner of the parking lot looks like the only place that's really getting into that 150 feet.
But that's the river line. It's the other section that has not been disturbed yet. There's go ahead, Mr. Reynolds.
On the east side of the
I think that
property,
gets into condition 3 on the part that just zone PC, I believe. Is that what we're referring to? The part on the east side?
I'm lumping them together because they all deal with a sort of conservation component.
Yeah, on that side of it, yeah, there is. We're going to have to balance that, and we're going to have to reforest it in order, once we do the, for erosion, we're going to have to replant there. And so that really gets into the condition 3 of the development plan, and submitting a reforestation plan when we get our permits, that then is reviewed and approved by Mr. Reynolds and Jim's office for how we're going to replant that once we do that grading to kind of balance and stabilize that area for the development.
Is there any, I guess when might we anticipate seeing a development plan?
Yeah, well, I think we're trying to hit the next submittal date, so that would put it at the end of October, so we're looking at December we haven't got the plan submitted, but if we get the next submittal date, which is our intent, then that would be in December. But
Real quick too, Commissioner Hill, I didn't see him over here just due to the angle, but I think he had a comment as well.
Go for it.
Not so much a comment, just trying to get these things started, these motions started. So should we start with the variance? Is that where we are? Deny the variance? Make a motion to deny the variance?
That is correct. yeah.
Reduce the intersection curve and right-of-way radius from 75 to 25 feet at all intersections because the reduced radius would be detrimental. Long-term maintenance of the public right-of-way is recommended by Knox County Engineering Public Works. And then it says, see variance form for the applicant's justifications of approval. So I guess that's the motion, is that?
Your motion to deny, is there a second? We have Commissioner Hill on the, made a motion to deny the variance to reduce the intersection curb, and seconded by Commissioner Anderson. All in favor say aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, and then I'd make a motion to approve the variance to reduce the minimum vertical curve K value of road D from 25 to 15 at STA 0 plus 55.57, subject to concept plan condition number 8.
We have a motion and a second on that. Again, the motion is from Commissioner Hill, second is from Commissioner Anderson. Before I go to the vote, I will throw that over to engineering again to confirm that you guys have looked at all the variance information and you're comfortable with variance number 2.
We are. The only thing I would add is that those K values at Asheville Highway could be impacted by right turn in or something that TDOT may approve, so they will have to have a TDOT entrance permit.
Very good, and that'll be an application with the state, correct?
Correct.
Very good. Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the variance. This is variance number 2?
Yep.
Number 2. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve variance to reduce the minimum vertical curve K value on road D from 25 to 15 at STA 2 plus 04.24 based on the A, B, and C.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill and a second by Commissioner Anderson. Once again, I will ask engineering if they're comfortable with the reasonings behind approving variance number 3.
Yes, we are, but the same thing applies, that the TDOT entrance permit could impact these and could change the grading, but yes, we're comfortable with them today.
Very good, thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Now, we get into the concept.
I make a motion to approve the concept plan subject to the 13 conditions, and if there were some requests from the applicant that varied that, if you'll present those, or do we need to wait on the development plan?
no, there is on condition 11 that the grading permits not be issued until the Phase 2 environmental study be completed. We would like to modify that to no grading permits in the area covered by the Phase 2 environmental study be issued until it's completed. But it would allow grading in areas that aren't subject to the Phase 2.
And that would be my motion.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to ask engineering with regard to the Phase 2 environmental assessment, is that wording comfortable with you guys, or do you have a suggestion?
No, I think we're good with that. I just wanted to ask Mr. Reynolds, is there a map, Mike, that shows those areas that delineate the Phase 2 area?
I can ask the applicant if he knows it. There's a environmental, the Phase 1 environmental study outlines the areas that, for the 3 identified concerns, RECs, I'm not going to explain.
Yeah, the Phase 1 identifies areas where we need to do the Phase 2, which is the same as the Phase 2 that was done 30 years ago. So they're known, they're identified, and we can make sure that, we get that. If you all don't have a copy of it yet, I think, Mike, you do, don't you, the Phase 1?
Yeah, everybody should have a copy of that. Is there anything delineated in what TDEC has accepted, I guess, for the property, for the brownfield program, the next phase of this, that would identify the boundary? That would be the one thing. The Phase 1, the boundary that's drawn in that, it's not very easy to see exactly what the boundary is. It kind of shows a general boundary, but having something that's more specific that can be provided to staff that identifies that exactly would be
But
good.
that's subject to the brownfield. Yeah, we can get that. I think it's been submitted to the state, and they said they've accepted it, but I don't know. It said they accepted it Monday, so we'll get that to you guys. So we know what areas are subject to that brownfield and the Phase 2.
And just a point of clarification too on that, that will be an administrative decision between staff and engineering, once that information is given to them, but prior to any permits being issued.
Yes, if we ask for a grading permit, we have to show it's outside of that area before it be issued.
All right, and engineering's good with that?
Yes, and they'll have to get permitting through the state, and I'm assuming, I've not dealt with many brownfield sites, but the state's not going to give them a coverage on that area that's in there until they're comfortable with the Phase 2. So
Right, but they're comfortable with everything else around it.
Yeah, so
Right, very good.
we're okay with that language.
Okay, so Commissioner Hill is in the process of trying to fashion a motion on the concept plan with the exception. Do you want to have him repeat item number 11 or condition number 11, how it would be worded?
Sure.
If the applicant's representative could repeat how item or condition number 11 would be worded.
See if I can do that. All future grading permits must be outside of either the Phase 2 or the areas accepted by the state in the brownfield agreement, and we will demonstrate that at the time of the application for the permit.
Engineering's good? All right.
I'm good with it.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Hill on the floor to approve the concept plan subject to 13 conditions with an amendment to condition number 11 to absorb what Mr. Mullins has stated. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill, a second by Commissioner Anderson. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it.
I'd like to approve the development plan for this commercial subdivision with up to 11 lots in the planned commercial zone, 16 lots total, and the rough grading plan, subject to 3 conditions, and I'd like to revise item 2, the tree line within approximately 100 feet of the riverbank shall remain undisturbed. And then delete, I don't think there's any reason for the last sentence in item 2. Was there another provision, Counselor Mullins, where did the reforestation administratively come in?
Condition 3, before we can get our grading permit, requires a remediation or reforestation plan for the specific areas. We're fine with that. We just want that to be submitted and approved administratively.
And that would be my motion, the revisions to 2, which would be 100 feet, and then deleting the last sentence of 2, and then adding what Councilor Mullins just added to number 3.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Hill to approve the development plan for this commercial subdivision with up to 11 lots in the PC, planned commercial zone, 16 lots total, and the rough grading plan subject to 3 conditions. Condition number 1 remains the same. Condition number 2 shall be amended to say the tree line within 100 feet versus 150. The tree line within 100 feet of the riverbank shall remain undisturbed. Also in number 2, we will delete the last line that states this does not preclude grading within the 150 feet of the riverbank if outside the existing terms. That will be stricken from number 2. And number 3, we're going to need some help on some wording, but I think, can we just add something at the end?
The
Counselor?
reforestation approval will be done administratively once submitted by the applicant, is that right?
That's perfect,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, we got that. We got that. Very good. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second it, but just a quick question.
Sure.
Is it still relevant to talk about the tree line? do we still need to talk about the tree line, or does some of the tree line lie outside of the 100 feet? As in, it'll be,
Yeah, I think we addressed that in number 2, I believe. We just reduced it to 100 feet.
but I think we said from the tree line. Do we mean from the tree line or from the riverbank?
It's from the riverbank.
Riverbank,
Yeah,
okay.
it says, number 2 says the tree line within 100 feet
Why are-
of the riverbank.
Why are we talking about the tree line, though? I guess is what,
There would still be some tree line on the north side of the site, for sure, within 100 feet.
but don't we
So-
just mean 100 feet from the riverbank? I don't think we need to tie it to the tree line.
I'm going to interject because I think the sentence that Commissioner Hill was striking, I think that was referring to that as the tree line goes around, there's not a consistent 150 feet, and in some cases, there may be nothing. And so that was there as a clause to say, if there is nothing, you don't have to try and pretend there's something. That's how I read that. And so the 100 feet was relevant because it was from the shoreline to the tree line, and 100 feet was the sort of best average.
Right, I just want to make sure that the motion I'm seconding is that we're saying
Okay.
100 feet from the shore and not,
Right, so you would prefer to say there is 100 feet from the riverbank
It
shall
does
remain
not
undisturbed.
preclude them from grading if there's no tree line. Is that?
right,
Yeah,
right.
okay. You want to just add that to number 3, at the end?
That's number 2.
Excuse me, the last sentence of number 2?
Yes.
Where, the one that we're just revising the last sentence instead of removing. How about that?
I need to make sure that I'm following, if you don't mind. So we're talking about number 2.
Right.
So are you just wanting to strike the tree line and just say within 100 feet of the riverbank?
No, I
That's
think-
what okay, that's what I'm trying to clarify. That's what I thought we meant.
I think that's the intent,
Yeah, right.
just how we get there.
But if that's the case, I think mentioning anything about a tree line confuses it.
I think in my mind, it's clarifying that we're talking about the tree line remains undisturbed. And so it
Okay.
doesn't actually apply to any areas that do not have trees.
Yes.
That's how I would
Okay.
interpret
Yeah.
that particular.
That's fine, I'll still second that.
Okay.
All right,
But
so,
before I'm good with 2, I need help with 3, because I'm not completely clear on that. If someone could read it again slowly.
so I think, the moral of the story on number 3 is it'll be done administratively. All the approvals will be done, this development plan is approved, and anything that needs to be done with respect to those things is done administratively between our staff and engineering versus having to come back to us.
So that would mean that this is a question, that what we had approved previously, that this body would see a development plan and at that stage be able to say, yes, it's okay to go ahead and disturb an area that hasn't been disturbed, or no, it's not. We would be relinquishing that responsibility and saying it's just going to be handled somewhere else. We wouldn't get to see it again.
Administratively.
Yeah, I guess my expectation would be the grading plan that's shown on this plan if they couldn't grade beyond what is shown on their grading plan today.
And the
what would
grading
you
plan
see?
today does go into the area that has not yet been disturbed.
Correct.
Correct, but it doesn't go past 100 feet.
But that's
This is where we're getting
different.
confused, yeah. So there's condition number 2, which deals with the riverbank trees, and then there's condition number 3 that deals primarily with the eastern side of the property with the undisturbed hillside area. So with condition number 3, by making the approval administrative, you're saying that the remediation that's presented for the planned commercial area being the reforestation plan on the disturbed hillside area is an acceptable approach to address that staff condition.
And I'm not comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with the 1 and 2 that were read and the modifications there, but for me, the third one, I got comfortable with how this body would get to review the development plan and then have some type of purview for the undisturbed area, and I would still like to see that. So if these 3 are together, I guess I'll have to vote no on all of them, even though I am in favor of 1 and 2. I'm not in favor of the modification for 3.
Understood. Thank you. Commissioner Gill?
Yeah, obviously, there hasn't been an objection to this. I just want to clarify that we have the authority to delegate our purview to planning staff without it having to be heard. Do we have the legal authority to say a decision that we are supposed to make as a appointed body can be made without our approval by administrative staff?
So I'll just quickly, the master plan, the condition of the master plan was a planning body condition, so it's not a zoning condition.
Right.
So you can modify, as part of this development plan approval process, you can create a whole new condition and, or just ignore that last one, just approve it as is. So you're not giving us, staff, a ability that is only in your hands. You can make it only in your hands if you want to. You can say, like, the plan has to come back to you for approval, or you can say, staff has the authority to review and approve the reforestation based on this grading plan presented.
And that's what I just wanted clarification on, because it seems to me what's at issue here is the grading plan is the grading plan for the whole project, regardless of the development. They're not going to grade more than they've already put in the plan that's before us today. What the conditions were put on by Mr. Reynolds were to say that the areas that are undisturbed or within the tree line, he doesn't want them to do the grading, even though we're approving it now. He doesn't want them to do it until the development plan comes out. But regardless of whether or not we approve the development plan in the future or not, based on that, he still is getting approval for the grading plan if it passes today already. So the question is when do they phase it in, not whether or not they're going to get to grade that land. It's the reforestation plan. We might be able to put conditions on it later, but he's going to grade that land regardless based on an approval today.
Okay, that was not what I understood.
I think that's why it's been sweating me while I've been sitting here, is that we're not having a conversation of whether or not he can or cannot grade it later. That conversation is right now. He's going to get to grade it if we plan that today. It's whether or not his remediation meets this body's approval or not, or whether or not that grading is done now when he can do his rough gradings or later. But the tree line that's in 150 feet of the riverbank is, if we approve it, is getting graded regardless. It's whether or not he's doing it under the rough grading permits or after he does it for his development plan when we have more specified uses. We might be able to say your development plan doesn't look good to us and we can modify it if that were the case. But in reality, that tree line that's around 150 feet, the places where he needs to grade in order to put the parking lot up, those trees are going down.
What you just referred to is, again, about item 2.
Right. Well, it's about both. So the third one is, again, is that there's undisturbed land. And what it reads is said on the east side that he won't be able to do the grading plan that we are approving today, based on how it's written in the staff report, that we approve that grading plan, but he can't get any permits until he submits a development plan with a reforestation that then comes back before the body and we say, yes, we're comfortable with your reforestation plan, and now you can go ahead and carry out the grading plan that we've already pre-approved from you. So what we're approving today is part of this concept plan has the grading plan in place. So everything on the grading plan is what we are talking about in terms of where he is going to do the grading. It's whether or not we're comfortable with allowing staff to make the decision that the remediation meets our condition that we set internally, not necessarily that we agree that they should grade it or not. If you're not comfortable with his grading plan as written in the concept plan, then you would have to vote now to say no to that grading. You wouldn't have the chance to go back later at the development stage should we go with staff recommendation and say, actually, I don't want this area disturbed. We've already approved that disturbance. It's whether or not we're going to remediate it in the way that he's comfortable or we're comfortable with.
So,
I'm sorry, but this says it shall remain undisturbed until a development plan application is submitted for review and approval by the Planning Commission that includes reduced disturbance in this area and or a remediation plan for the cut slopes based on the recommendations of the Hillside and Ridgetop Protection Plan, such as reforestation or other best management practices deemed appropriate by the Planning Commission. So I'm reading that to say that we would get to see this again before they touch that undisturbed area and have some type of engagement with that before it is
Yes, and at that time, we would be, as a body, to be able to say, we don't like your reforestation plan, we would prefer these trees to be here, or we want a different type of reforestation. And based on the development plan in front of us, we feel that you need to make your cuts here and not here. But the grading plan is what's before us right now. And if they've identified that area to be graded and we approve it, they have approval to grade it. What we're saying is you can't start that grading project until you come back to us with a reforestation plan. And Councilor Mullins is asking for it not to come back before us, but be put in front of planning for planning to decide whether or not that reforestation plan meets.
For staff, yeah.
For staff.
Councilor Mullins, you have a comment?
And that's correct, Mr. Gill. You summarized, I mean, we've already identified the areas that we need to grade. That's part of the plan that is being approved. The only issue is we know, we're fine with the condition that the areas we grade, we need to reforest, and that there will be a reforestation plan. But we're just asking that that reforestation plan be submitted to engineering and to planning. They'll work together to review that to make sure that, you know, they're comfortable with our mitigation plan before issuing the permit at that time. That way we can go ahead and work on that and get our, you know, start working on whatever grading we need to do now before December, which is the next time that we can get here, when we're losing, you know, several months of prime weather and territory where you can actually start moving the earth. I mean, it's a timing issue. The reforestation is going to happen, and it's going to happen the right way. It's just we're asking you to trust engineering staff to review it.
Right, and I guess the only reason I'm bringing this up is, Commissioner Adams, I also struggled with this a little bit, and I wanted to try to summarize it and make it clear that we're not arguing about what land. Part of this grading is this plan is already identifying what land is going to be disturbed. There's not going to be a point in the future that we can come back and say, I don't want you disturbing this X piece of land. That's what we're approving now. What we're arguing over is whether or not that land requires our personal review of how many trees get planted on that disturbed land versus the staff deciding how many trees get planted on that disturbed land. So if you're not comfortable with the areas laid out in the concept plan to be disturbed, that would be a reason to vote against it. But per your own comment, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, if it's because you don't want to have the staff be the one that reviews it, and you do, you could do that, but just keep in mind that you've already approved the grading plan today.
It's not that I don't trust staff, it's that the conversation that this body had previously was that, and I don't want to put words in the body's mouth, but that, you know, don't worry, you'll get to look at the development plan before anything happens. And that's not happening.
Well,
so that
the trick is
makes
that
me
the
uncomfortable.
motion that we're about to approve is for a development plan. It's just not has the uses identified. So we are approving a development plan that includes rough grading. I think that's the piece that I'm
Real quick, I'm going to jump over to Commissioner Butler and see what her opinion is.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't want to be a fly in the ointment here, but in looking at the grading plan that's on the screen now, I would like to ask the engineer or one of the designers of the project to give us an idea of the grading that we're seeing in terms of its vertical height. It is quite complex. And maybe because they're like 1 foot contour lines shown, I don't know. But can you give us an idea of this is the area that is in the hilltop protection area on the east side of the property. And I want to have a better understanding of what this is going to look like when it's finished and why why it's so extreme in its grading.
Just name and address for the record, please.
Aaron Gray, 2160 Lakeside Way. So the grading that you see on the screen, they are 2 foot contours, unfortunately, not 1 foot. The height is going to continue to mimic the existing height that's already out there. Obviously, you can see by the grades we're padding out for future lots to develop. The grading that we're doing and showing on the screen is strictly in order to create those pads and to create the roads. So the limit that you see as far as the proposed versus the existing contours, the existing being the ones that are dashed, we're only grading back as far as we absolutely need to in order to get the slope to tie back in. Once we reach that point, we've stopped on that plan and we're not grading anymore. So right now, the plan that you see stops at I don't know, it's slightly below the top of the ridge line, but it does not go any further than we absolutely have to. I don't recall what the exact height is. I'd have to look at the numbers. I don't recall off the top of my head what that height is.
Basically, you're pushing that hillside back, right, and making it steep at the back side of those lots. Is that correct?
Yes,
To
ma'am, that's
gra- to
correct.
cor- To get the lots along the street frontage.
Yes,
I
that's
just wanted
correct.
everybody to understand what this is really going to look like. And if we're approving the grading plan today, that it's being changed in a fairly significant
And part of
manner.
that would also happen, I think it's worth noting that really just to even get the road to cut in there, it's kind of hard to tell when you're down on Asheville Highway, but to get the road cut in there just by itself, even if they were not putting lots in, that road cut would be fairly steep anyway, just to get the road in. So, which is the reason we requested the variances that were approved, or the alternatives that were approved earlier with the K values and stuff. All that is in an effort to minimize as much as possible that cut that we're having to do, because, I'm sure the owner doesn't want to dig out any more dirt than he absolutely has to, and we don't want to ask him to do that, and we try to minimize that as much as we can, so.
Okay, thank you.
Chair Huber, I knew better than to make these motions, but I did it anyway.
Yeah,
so-
you're in the middle of it.
That's right. I appreciate everybody's efforts in clarifying.
Right, so we probably do need to land the plane on this thing. How that looks, we probably need to start over on this motion, on motion number 5 with the development plan to clarify that, right?
I don't think I changed anything.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a motion on the floor and a second. Very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we need to take a 5-minute break after that one. Thank you. All right, well, we'll get back into it here. The next item on the agenda is item number 36. This is an ordinance amendment. The staff recommendation is to approve the amendments to the Knoxville City Code, Appendix B, Zoning Code, Article 2, General Definitions and Measurement Methodologies, Article 4, Residential Neighborhood Districts, Article 9, Uses, Article 10, Site Development Standards, and Article 11, Off-Street Parking, to create a new single-family attached dwelling use because it diversifies housing options and increases home ownership opportunity. I don't know if there's someone from the city here to speak to this, or if Ms. Hillman would like to make a comment. Yeah, or she can take questions. Does anybody have any
Happy to answer
questions?
any questions.
I have a question.
Sure, we've got one person to speak,
So,
too. Go ahead.
I brought this up at agenda review, and I may be off base, but I feel like it would be valuable to clarify in the definition of a single-family attached dwelling that we only mean like a total of 2 units. Because I think it kind of says that, but then when you read through some of the other places, it's like I could see somebody crafting an argument that, you could have 3 or more units, even though we say that it's not a townhouse. We don't say a townhouse has to be on separate lots, and we say this does have to be on separate lots. So that's just a thought.
So on page 2 of the actual ordinance amendment document, it defines a single-family attached dwelling as a structure containing one dwelling unit attached at an interior side lot line by a vertical party wall to another dwelling unit.
Right.
Each dwelling is located on a separate lot. A single-family attached dwelling is not a townhouse.
Right. So why does that mean that you can't have multiple attached dwellings, units?
So you mean, well, so because a townhouse dwelling is defined as a structure consisting of 3 or more dwelling units?
Right, but we specifically say here that these are on separate lots, which we don't say in a townhouse development. So what I'm saying, and again, I'm just thinking about how we've had to sit up here and try and make decisions when somebody has created a loophole. And I'm just thinking, if somebody had a row of 6 units that were all on individual lots, could they argue that, well, that's not the same as the definition of a townhouse because these are on separate lots? I just, if we mean two, let's just say two.
Sure.
Is that, is Director Barry here? Director Barry with the city? How would you interpret the language that we've got in front of us right now with respect to Commissioner Anderson's concerns?
Sure. Can you go back up to the definition as it's presented in the draft? I think you just missed it. Okay, and the question is related to why does the definition not have specific for 2 units?
Can you hit your mic, please?
Yeah, I think that if we want to make sure there's never ambiguity that we can just have 2 units, I think we should make it clear that we just mean 2 units. So maybe instead of saying to another dwelling unit, you say one other dwelling unit. I just don't know down the road if there's somebody that could, and I don't know that it would necessarily matter, but
I don't have any opposition to that, so, yeah.
Okay, yeah, if we want to make that slight amendment to, do we have it read in properly?
I think that works to just say that we're going to say a structure containing one dwelling unit attached to it, at an interior side lot line by a vertical party wall to one other dwelling unit. Each dwelling unit is located on a separate lot. A single-family attached dwelling is not a townhouse. Because when we talked about the agenda, we were trying to say that the distinction and the reason why we think it's limited to 2 is because we say it's not a townhouse, and a townhouse has 3 or more. But because we're also saying specifically here that they're on separate lots, and we don't say that in the definition of a townhouse, I think that may create some slight gap.
Sure. That makes sense.
Very good, yeah, we can put that in there. Before I go to you, Commissioner Gill, we have 2 people signed up to talk about it. There's Mr. Coker, Jack Coker, are you available? If you could, and Mr. Mark Dunn as well. But if you could, yeah, come on up and state your name and address for the record, please. You'll have 5 minutes.
Hi, thank you. I'm Jack Coker, 2407 Coker Avenue. I'm the board president of Yes Knoxville, and just wanted to say that we strongly support this new dwelling type. While we would like to see a reduction to the minimum lot area to allow for infill housing in the TDR, we don't want perfection to be the enemy of good. So we fully support this amendment. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Mr. Dunn, are you speaking for or against?
Speaking for as well.
Very good.
Mark Dunn, 1501 Washington Avenue. I'm here on behalf of Knoxville Habitat for Humanity. We just want to voice our support for this as well. We've struggled in the last few years with density, and this will allow us to both increase density and to preserve some of the benefits of single-family homes. So we think this is a great solution. We've actually had a development that's been on pause for the last year as this ordinance has moved through the system, and so we just want to thank the planning staff. We think you've come up with a great solution and hope the commission supports it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Commissioner Gill.
Yes, thank you. I just, I had a few words. I wanted to commend staff and the city for bringing this forth. I know that we have talked about this on commission as a desire to see some more options for our change in our our housing options to allow home ownership to include smaller attached dwelling units like this. Something we hear quite a bit, and I said this the last time this came before us, that we often hear that duplexes don't support home ownership, and they don't support someone being tied to the neighborhood as, and while I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment, I think anybody who lives in a neighborhood is part of a neighborhood, but I understand where that could be the perception. This does help alleviate that by allowing people to own their duplex their unit in the duplex, specifically because not everybody wants a fully standalone large house. There are people who require smaller space and would be more than happy to live in that, and this gives them an opportunity to build out equity. I wanted to say thank you to staff. I know that this was before us before, and I know that there were some changes that need to be made, and I think it is important that we went through and made sure that this was fully vetted, so thank you for doing that. And I agree with Commissioner Anderson that if we can go ahead and catch some of those small things in the front end, so I am supportive of the amendment to clarify that it's one other unit. I think that those small things go a long way to making sure the public understands the intent of this. We do have some developers who are adept at finding workarounds to try to accomplish what they would like to accomplish despite what we have asked them plain English to do. So if this would help with that, that would be fantastic. And I think with that, I know that there are others to speak, but I would like to make the motion to approve this per staff recommendation.
I'll second.
I think before we get going too far, I think the city had some clarification on that.
Sure. So, yes, we were wanting to make one clarification, if it is agreeable to the Planning Commission, that at the end of that first sentence, so it would say a structure containing one dwelling unit attached at an interior side lot line by a vertical party wall to one other dwelling unit for a max of 2 units. Maximum of 2 units.
And you're okay with that amendment?
Yeah, I'll amend my motion to reflect what Mr. Berry stated.
Very good. So we have a motion by Commissioner Gill and a second by Commissioner Butler to approve.
No,
I'm
it
sorry.
was me.
Sorry.
You're gonna have to start wearing
I saw your
name
light
tags.
on over there. You're going to get a second sometime today.
I accept the amendment.
Very good. And Commissioner Midas had a comment too, I believe.
Yeah, I'll be fast. I just wanted to say I do agree with your comments. I'm 100% supportive of this ordinance. I do want to, I hope that going forward, if we find that the ability to divide current duplexes is restricted, that maybe we can tweak some of the existing dimensions in order to allow for more homeownership in the future for existing duplexes. Thank you.
Commissioner Browning, did you have a comment?
Sorry, I don't mean to complicate things, but, and this is probably a question for the attorneys on commission, but is the word townhome even a legal residential term? Or is it kind of a fancy word that realtors try to, use for condos or planned unit developments? I mean, I just want, if you're going to plan I'm not sure townhome is even actually a thing. I think you either have a condo or you have a PUD.
It's defined, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. It's defined in the zoning ordinance, and that's the reason that it's specifically called out in the new definition. In the zoning ordinance is defined dwelling townhouse.
And so townhouse, the definition is just something that's 3 units or more that's attached. Is that?
A structure consisting of 3 or more dwelling units, the interior of which is configured in a manner such that the dwelling units are separated by a party wall. And then it goes on.
But like
To
a
your
con-
point, though,
But like
I
a
do
condo
think-
would not be on separate lots. You
Well,
know,
I-
a condo, you would own an undivided
I think-
interest in the whole
I
thing.
think
It
that
could be
that-
on one lot.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that's the way most people would think about it, right? Is that a condo is you have one big plot of land and you have a bunch of units and everybody owns a limited common element and some, of public element. And a townhouse would be like a 0 lot line house. But I think you could theoretically, define it however you want in the code, and that's what you'd have to ultimately go by.
So basically, a townhome would be a condo or a PUD regime,
Well,
is what you're saying.
So really, I think by this definition, and again, I'm just shooting from the hip, but I think that it's anything that's 3 or more units attached. So it could be, a townhouse, according to the definition in here, could be a condo.
Yes, correct. A townhouse could either be units on individual lots, or it could be multiple units on one lot, like a condo. So the definition of a townhouse does not preclude either of them or require one or the other. It could be either.
And that's why I thought we needed to clarify on the new single attached is that we only mean 2 units because we specifically call that out as being on separate lots.
Very good. Commissioner Butler.
Just knowing, just having worked in other municipalities across the state, it's a very common term for a townhome with 3 or more attached units, and it's also defined in our building code as well. So it is a pretty common understanding amongst people that design them.
Yeah, the only where I'm getting tripped up is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac do not, they do not recognize a townhome. There is no such thing as a townhome in the secondary market for mortgage financing. So that's why I just want to make sure people don't get tripped up down the road.
Very good. We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve with the amended language. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, we are now on to agenda item number 39. Pardon me, did we get another one pulled off?
37 is the next one.
Oh, 37. My apologies. We are on agenda item number 37 for consideration of an ordinance amendments to increase the building height allowance and building setbacks in RN5. The staff recommendation is to state, planning recommends approval of the amendments to the City of Knoxville Zoning Code, Article 4.3, Table 4-2, Residential Districts Dimensional Standards pertaining to building height and setbacks in the RN5 General Residential District proposed by the City of Knoxville. Does the city want to comment, or do we see Mike Reynolds reviewed this? Is there any questions for staff? We do have one speaker, Jack Coker again. Jack, would you like to speak now?
Hi again, thank you. Jack Coker, 2407 Coker Avenue, if I need that again. But yeah, I just wanted to say that yes, Knoxville supports this effort, and we appreciate the time being taken to review and adapt our zoning codes, allowing for free market forces to create more housing. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Coker. Is there any other, anyone in the crowd for or against this amendment? I see somebody coming up. I don't see anybody else on the list. If you could state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, John Holmes, 5914 Gray Gables Drive. I'm here to represent about 75 parcel owners in Fort Sanders. While we do agree with the increase in height is a good thing, we disagree with the setbacks. So when you read this a little closer, the side setbacks are being increased for all heights, including the existing 35-foot limit. They're currently 10 feet. This would actually increase them to 12 foot. So that's makes it even harder in Fort Sanders. In Fort Sanders in particular, a multifamily lot is typically 60 feet wide. So already losing 10 feet on each side is very tough to start with. You know, going to 12 makes it almost unfeasible. The second thing is when we do have this extra height, which again we agree with, it's virtually impossible to use that height in Fort Sanders. The extra front setback is going to make that difficult because you lose parking. And then the lot area minimums that exist in the table, basically you can't add any units to utilize that space. So holistically, RN5 zoning in the fort is kind of flawed. Most of the properties are 90% are non-conforming to the zoning code that exists currently. So I think there needs to be some other tweaks involved to allow that extra height to be utilized effectively and to build increased parking. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Reynolds, could you maybe speak to the reasoning behind your recommendation to have those setbacks?
Sure. So RN5 is a zone that's spread across the entire city, so it's not just in Fort Sanders. And so the setbacks were really intended to allow like larger sites. RN5 is not ideal in general already for smaller infill sites. The RN4 zone is probably more appropriate in those areas. It has reduced setbacks, allows a little bit additional height. It does have a slightly lower intensity of development allowed, but really RN5 is spread across the city much more broadly than RN4 is, for instance. But the additional height provision, we just have concerns with how it would change or impact adjacent properties, such as single-family houses that are near smaller RN5 sites. So a property that is large and has RN5, then they want to have additional height. Pushing that additional height further away from the property line seems totally appropriate. It's just when you get too close to property lines and have adjacent uses that are of concern, then we just want to make sure that that height comes back down to what is allowed today, which is 35 feet.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Commissioner Biggs.
Yeah, just had a kind of question and I guess some comments around the setbacks as well. So if I'm reading correctly, the current ordinance has minimum front setbacks, but then it has kind of a separate subcategory for properties that are within 1 mile of the DK district, and it says that those front setbacks can be reduced to 12 feet. And I'm curious if there was any consideration, Mr. Reynolds, given your comment around, RN5s all across the city, if there could be almost a two-tiered, setback regime where you've got setbacks within maybe the TDR area that are reduced, given that properties are closer to each other, that, I know there's some RN5 over in East Knoxville and kind of the more traditional gridded neighborhood where a 35-foot setback would seem kind of out of character, I would argue, with the rest of the block face. I don't know, is there any consideration to maybe having a TDR version of setbacks versus a non-TDR version?
That might be, Mike, before you get into that, I might throw that over to Assistant Director Barry, if you could address that.
Sure. I think on page 8 of the case file, we have a map that will kind of depict, this is RN5 as it's located throughout the city. So you can see what Mr. Holmes was talking about. Within the Fort Sanders area, there is a sizable portion of property that are zoned RN5. Unfortunately, many of those don't meet the lot width requirements for multifamily being 60 feet, which is already established in RN5. It's not anything that we're changing. But you can also see that there is a sizable amount that goes beyond. So adding something to the setback related to if it's within a mile of the DK district would impact some of those properties, probably in and around the Fort Sanders area. But beyond that, I don't know that it would touch the ones that are outside of that as far as the interior setbacks being reduced. So.
Well, and maybe that's why if I'm envisioning the TDR map. I think it would capture more of the areas that those smaller setbacks might be appropriate, I guess is what I was thinking. It would capture Fort Sanders and East Knoxville and kind of the North Knoxville corridor was my thought.
Very good. Did you have any more comments, or Commissioner Gill?
Yeah, so we heard, we went through this with the missing middle housing guidelines, and so I'm of two minds here. We can't make policy for the entirety of the city and zoning ordinances on the backs of a single neighborhood. It's important that we recognize that the desires of one neighborhood are important, but they don't necessarily, it's putting the cart before the horse in many ways. However, we learned the attack of the non-conforming lots can cause a lot of headache and heartache as we've been adjusting the missing middle guidelines now for over a year, trying to address what amounts to a couple of lots in one neighborhood to try to massage it to be effective for that. So I agree with Commissioner Biggs that there might need to be some attention paid to how this impacts a neighborhood that is already non-conforming. I don't want to say they're actually non-conforming, but non-conforming to the multifamily use that they're zoned for R5, but they don't meet the minimum lot size. That makes them kind of non-conforming and difficult to target. I don't know if the appropriate way is to do a blanket TDR or not. I think that would be something that I would be more comfortable with staff looking at. But as we've looked at in the past with missing middle, one of the things that I've learned is that holding up these things on the account of a single neighborhood when that can make impact outside of that neighborhood in these places where it is actually trying to address doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Our staff is very willing to address these kind of edge cases, and as we've gone through and amended our code to make sure that it meets the needs, I would be comfortable perhaps formally asking Mr. Commissioner, if you may agree with this, to try to adjust some of the needs that were brought up from the Fort Sanders neighborhood to see if RN5 with below the 60-foot lot lines, if the setbacks could be adjusted to help achieve what we're trying to achieve without necessarily having to repaint entire neighborhoods. But I don't know if that's necessarily what's at stake today. We're trying to address a height difference in neighborhoods that are not just Fort Sanders, and their opposition isn't to the height adjustment, which is what we really are looking for. So I think it would make sense to approve this as is, as we're looking at, with a formal request that we address maybe some of these edge cases in the Fort Sanders to see if there is a way that we can update it to help alleviate their concerns. But I don't think we should hold up this ordinance in the meantime, my personal feeling.
I'm not opposed to that. I guess I just wanted to clarify, like, while I think Fort Sanders does represent the majority of issues here, I do think there are other areas within the TDR portion of the city where there's a few pocket RN5 zonings that a 35-foot setback doesn't seem appropriate from the front. So, like, that was my thought for expanding it. But, yeah, not married to that notion.
Yeah, if a property is RN5 and in a TDR, they go through middle housing, they can use middle housing standards as well.
Okay.
Very good. So I will bring it back. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Adams.
Just a quick point of clarification. Fort Sanders and TDR, I don't think it's part of TDR. Just to clarify. I think,
Okay, that's
yeah.
my mistake then. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's outside the loop, right. So just bringing it back, the staff recommendation, planning recommends approval of amendments to the City of Knoxville zoning code, so forth. Is there a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve as per staff recommend, well, as per written.
As per staff recommendation. Is there a second?
Second. Second.
All right, Ms. Butler. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Gill and a second by Commissioner Butler. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, now we are on to agenda item number 39. This is for consideration of the EN Established Residential Neighborhood Zoning District as an alternative to the requested RN1 Single Family Residential Neighborhood Zoning District. This is the one that got sent back. Is that right? Okay. Yeah, so we voted on this one as a body and recommended RN1 unanimously to City Council. City Council approved it on their first reading. On their second reading, they decided to send it back to us for a consideration of EN Established Residential Neighborhood. The staff recommendation is staff discourages consideration of the EN Established Residential Neighborhood District at this location because it would be inconsistent with the intent of the zoning district. The hillside protection overlay would be retained. Is the applicant present?
Ben Mullins, 550 West Main Street, here for the applicant.
Very good. We have two people, I believe, that need to speak on this. Or do you want to defer or?
Yeah, I don't know what the two people are going to say, so, but I will say, just briefly, you summarized it very well. The applicant didn't ask for the EN zone. The staff doesn't want the EN zone. I think we're all in agreement the EN zone should be denied. This was approved unanimously by this body back in June. It went past first reading. Second reading, my client thought he secured someone to speak on his behalf. That person pulled out at the last minute. He wasn't there. Some neighbors then appeared and had questions. If you look at the meeting, I know, Mr. Gill, you're shaking your head. You watched the meeting. I watched it last night myself. It was a very odd meeting. Council member Singh in her district, she was concerned about postponing it again because the time for considering the zoning may run out. And I think it was introduced by the attorney for City Council that if it was remanded back for consideration of a different zone, it would reset the clock, and those were the words he used. So that's why we're here. The clock has been reset. So what my request is that you deny the EN zone. We let this body's recommendation that's already passed, has not been denied or withdrawn. It is still a live application. Go back to City Council for consideration at that time. I promise you I'll be there. My client, he's sitting here. He will be there. We'll address those issues issues at that time, but let's get it back to city council for final consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. We have a Betty Sharitz to speak against this, as well as a John Hitt. So, Ms. Sharitz, if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Betty Sharitz.
Sharitz, my apologies.
Rhymes with carrots.
Yep.
I'm at 6403 Keck Road, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37912.
Very good, thank you.
And my property is beside this track. There is a curve there with a 15-foot wide road. Nothing has changed since this rezoning started. The road is still narrow and curvy. Wilbanks LLC bought the land beside me in 2007, 18 years ago. The road rezoned into or annexed into the city. The road has not been widened since it was annexed, even no streetlights there. And there is still no sewer to this property. We want this to be kept zoned AG. Multiple single-family houses have in past years added to increased traffic. And just this past Tuesday, when there was a wreck on I-75 North, all lanes closed, Google kindly directed everyone to come Keck Road. 30 to 50 cars passed by my house. Amazon was delivering to my neighbor's house, and Amazon was parked right on the edge of the road. No one could get by them. 15 cars backed up, and the Amazon person had to back down the road. I agree with the Planning Commission on this, not to rezone this property to RN1 and to keep it AG. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sharitz, sorry. Mr. Hitt.
My name is John C. Hitt. I live at 6510 Keck Road. Been there 35 years. My parents about 30 years before that. I hope I can say everything I have to say in the few minutes left. I don't talk as fast as I used to. At 83, I don't do anything as fast as I used to. But I would like to agree with the staff of this organization. The staff recommended that the rezoning be denied. Staff does all the legwork, I assume. And I think if I had a staff, I'd tend to follow their directions. A quote from their study says, "The narrow width and limited sight distance conditions on Keck Road, in addition to the potential for a large industrial development across the road, do not support the intense residential development at this location." End of quote. Now, the staff pointed out that 15 feet across the street, there was an industrial development, general industrial. I think there's like 38 acres there. Not a great place for a bunch of kids anyway. The point at which this lot is, the width is 15 feet. I went out there the other day just to pace it off and measure it and make sure it was. And coming home, I came in the back way of Keck Road the other day. There's utility work on a pole. You couldn't get by them, so I went around the other way. And I came in the other way, there was a flatbed truck coming down the road with a piece of heavy equipment on it. And I had to pull over into a neighbor's yard for it to pass. The road, Keck Road, cannot handle any increase in traffic. Now, I believe they're wanting to rezone 1.3 acres, put 3 or 4 houses on there. Well, what would prevent them from later on rezoning the other 5 acres and putting 10 or 15 houses on there? As it stands now, the person owns over 6 acres. He could put 3 or 4 or 5 houses on there. I'm not sure exactly, but it would prevent 15 or 20 houses from being on there anyway. Thank you for the opportunity to address you. please vote no to rezone this thing.
Thank you, Mr. Hitt. I think it might bear reminding that this is actually a file that this body has already made a recommendation to City Council for RN1. This is just City Council asking us to consider EN, existing neighborhood. So that's really what we're talking about, is only a recommendation, will we consider that? So I just wanted to make a little clarification with that. We've already made one recommendation to approve RN1. They just want us to consider this. So that's where we're at now. And Councilor Mullins, if you have any follow-up comments?
And that's right. I don't want to relitigate here the RN1 zoning. That conversation needs to take place at City Council, where it has gone already. And I'd be happy to address and talk to Ms. Charrett and Mr. Hitt about those concerns. I mean, the reason the 1.38 and the RN1, that would allow him to do 3 homes. Technically, RN1 is 10,000 square foot lots, so you could do with the 1.38, you could get 5 homes on there with 10,000 square foot lots. However, if you don't have sanitary sewer, you're limited to 20,000 square foot lots. So the most he could put there is 3, unless he expands the sewer. There is sewer line you can expand, but it'd have to go across and get an easement from some of the neighbors that have been opposed to this. So the chances of that happening are realistically not very, very good. So his intent was to build 3 homes there, and then he intends to build his home on the remaining 5 acres there. With the ag zone now, you could put 6 homes. What we are proposing is 4, essentially. And so, again, I just want to put all that into context. We already talked about this once before. Let's get it back to where it needs to be, and we'll make sure I'll talk to the neighbors. I'll give them my card. We'll talk about it and get this before the legislative body again for the final vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Chair Huber. I want to make a motion here. One, I think that there are probably good intentions of making this thing work, but it's clearly a misapplication of the RN1EN. And as I think back, I think 3 executive directors ago, Mark Donaldson, when he was here, we contacted the staff about doing an established neighborhood over our neighborhood, which was Old Westmoreland. And I think Holston Hills has since done it. They may have been the first, or we were the first and they were the second, one or the other. And so they designated them, I think it was RN1EN1 and RN1EN2. So you knew exactly which neighborhood was an established neighborhood based on that last digit. And the intent was for the entire neighborhood to buy in and to have kind of the same rules. And they were mostly broad. For instance, a 100-foot wide lot. Everybody, instead of somebody coming in, chopping up lots and having narrow lots that didn't fit in the context of the neighborhood, that would protect it, making sure that the block face is aligned back then. I think we've since put it in the zoning where they have to now. But to the point that he would require the executive director would require a supermajority of the neighborhood to approve this before staff would move forward to designate an established neighborhood. So in my imperfect analogy, it's like having team rules, but they only apply to one team member. It just doesn't make sense. So in this case, we're trying to apply it to one lot when the intent was for everybody to play by those rules that bought into it, the community. And so for that reason, I want to make a motion to deny the established neighborhood zoning district and reaffirm support of a rezoning of this property to single-family residential neighborhood zoning district RN1.
Okay, we have a motion to deny by Commissioner Hill and a second by Vice Chair Levinson. I see a couple other lights on. Commissioner Gill.
Yeah, I'll be brief. I think that I am in support of Commissioner Hill's reading of this situation. Ian is not appropriate for this. I think that our record speaks that RN1 was the advisement that we gave City Council, and I think that it is City Council's desires that will be followed in the long run. There was lots of discussion that happened. I have watched that, and I appreciate the neighbors. I hope your voice is heard and you show up again to voice your opinion. I think that, with respect that we're not reviewing the RN1 in this location, I just want to put on record to say that, we're often having conversations on density, and we have people who are very much opposed to 70 or 80 units in their neighborhood, which has come up even in this own meeting. And we're talking about 3 units here. Every little bit counts. This is in the city limits. There are very few places left within the city limits where housing can go, and we are stuffing those areas with as much density as we can. This is one of those few locations where it is actually appropriate to put single-family houses for people who want to live in single-family homes. I agree that the road is way too small for a development that's in that entire property, but I'm struggling with why 3 houses would be inappropriate. That said, I think while the body has already spoken to that, and I hope that our city council makes their decision, but at this point, I don't think EN is the appropriate way to try to limit that development moving forward. I think that RN1 would be the only zone that would be appropriate if they desire it.
Very good. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. We are on to agenda item number 41. Heyo Architecture is the applicant. The location is south side of Bill Williams Avenue on east of North Broadway. Approximate size of the tract is 17,389 square feet. Present zoning is traditional neighborhood residential and office and infill housing overlay. Proposed plan designation is mixed-use special district, EC3, mixed-use special district, Broadway, Washington Pike to I-640. Is the applicant present? I'm sorry. The staff recommendation on this file is to deny the mixed-use special district EC-3, mixed-use special districts, because the plan amendment does not meet the intent of the district. I will ask one more time, is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny following staff's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to deny by Commissioner Adams and a second by Commissioner Anderson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Yeah, I didn't, my apologies, this one, because it was a sector plan change with the rezoning, we probably need to go back real quick and just make sure if the motion is going to be to deny, we need to deny all 3 of them. So, Commissioner Adams, we have
Which one do you want me to start with?
a sector plan.
So I'll make a motion to deny the sector plan based upon staff's recommendation.
Second.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second motion from Commissioner Adams and a second from Commissioner Anderson to deny the sector plan. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. And now the 1-year plan.
I'll make a motion to deny the 1-year plan based upon staff's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the denial of the sector plan by Commissioner Adams and seconded by Commissioner Anderson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. The denial passes. And the rezoning.
I'll make a motion to deny the CG2 zoning based upon staff's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Commissioner Adams and then followed by Commissioner Anderson to deny the rezoning. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? It is denied. Thank you. All right. So we are now on to agenda item number 43 that was pulled off the agenda. The applicant is Benjamin C. Mullins. Location is the north side of Mitchell Street, west side of 9th Avenue, east of North 6th Avenue. It's 5.66 acres. The present plan is heavy industrial and IG general residential. The proposed plan is CI, Civic Institutional. The existing use is industrial. The staff recommends that is to approve the CI, Civic Institutional land use classification because it would permit the reuse of a large former industrial site and provide a transition in land use intensity. But this one will require 3 motions as well. We have a sector plan, a 1-year plan, and a rezoning on this one as well. Is the applicant present?
I am. Ben Mullins, 550 West Main Street, here for CARM.
Very good. And is there some folks signed up to speak? Or this one got pulled by Commissioner Anderson, I believe. Okay. Okay, so we have 43C, Mr. Harmon. Would you want to defer, or do you want to speak first?
I'll defer. I'll just say we support staff's recommendation, ask you to approve, and I'm happy to address any of the comments from the neighbors after they speak. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. So we have a Brandon Harmon. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Brandon Harmon, 1508 9th Avenue. Here to represent Integration Technology, our company there. First off, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. We ask respectfully that you would deny this zoning. We feel like the current industrial zoning is compatible with our area. We got many businesses in that area that provide jobs to nearby residents, and believe that by reducing this industrial zoning, it severely limits our ability to expand and grow our businesses and all the other businesses in the area. Additionally, because there's not been any zoning changes in our area, this institutional zoning wouldn't add any value to this area. And it would be detrimental. It would cause a detrimental effect to the local businesses and even those local residential residents there. It's going to hurt it by bringing in what it's going to bring in, and we're just super scared about that. Currently, the businesses in our area, we work together and support each other. We love it when new businesses come in. Those homes that's on the corners there, we see their kids standing there on the corners catching the bus, and we know there's going to be work for them. Our particular company, we're responsible for 60 team members. That doesn't include their families, their kids, their spouses. We know that this particular facility that's going to come into this area is going to jeopardize that safety and protection. It's going to attract those homeless folks in our area. It's a major concern for us. We've got team members that bring their kids to our office. They're on 9th Avenue now that, when they're not in school, they're there. And they're just not going to feel safe, and they won't be able to do that. As mentioned earlier, again, we've got kids on the corners catching the bus stops, walking to the bus stops right up and down from it. The positive in that area over the last 10 years, we've seen it's safe. It's safe there. On 9th Avenue, it's safe, and we want to keep it there. We no longer have to escort the women that work in our offices to their cars, even of the evening or in the morning if they get there early. I just want to be clear, though. We love all people, okay? Let me be clear there. We love this organization, what it's about, and we want opportunities for those folks to better themselves. But our industrial area right there on 9th Avenue, that just doesn't make sense to do this right there. It does nothing to help those businesses, the businesses in the area. It doesn't help anybody that lives on that area. So we would respectfully ask that you guys deny this request to change that zoning. And at the very least, and I may have missed this opportunity, this is my first time here, but at the very least, we ask that you postpone this objective for an amount of time. We've called, when we found out about this ourselves, we called locally about 20 different businesses and some families, and nobody knew about it. So we would like at least that opportunity as well. So again, we appreciate it, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harmon. Councilor Mullins, did you want to? Oh, I'm sorry, we have a 36. Patty Willen? I'm sorry, is there Patty Willen? All right. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Patty Weiland. I live at 1518 Chicago Avenue. I have lived there all my life. My grandparents built a home. It's 104 years old. I have dealt with the homeless on Broadway. I have dealt with them coming up my alley, which I have to padlock because they kept opening the gate and coming through and walking through my property. So they lay on Broadway, they lay on the hill slope beside La Piñata. They travel my alley. This morning I picked up a whole garbage bag full of trash that they had thrown down as they were walking through our neighborhood. So I would ask that you please deny this.
Thank you, Ms. Wiley. Now, Councilor Mullins, if you'd like to rebut.
Thank you. Ben Mullins, 550 West Main Street. Addressing homelessness in Knoxville, it benefits all of Knoxville. And Ms. Weiland just demonstrated the need for a facility like this. The homeless are already there. They're already here. And this is going to give a shelter which is intended specifically for women and children. That's CARM's model for this. This is going to give them a place where they can have a safe place to be. This is a 24/7. This is intended to be a 24/7 campus at this location, serving women and children experiencing homelessness. 9th Avenue, we believe, is ideal for this vision. It's mostly surrounded by industrial use, as was mentioned. So there's privacy and accessibility. It's already fenced and provides ample green space, making it well-suited for a secure and peaceful campus. The CARM has done a tremendous amount of community outreach, which I'm surprised to hear that people haven't heard of it. They've reached out to the Homeowner Association for Bell Morris and Oakwood, Lincoln Park, Edgewood, and Park Ridge Neighborhood Associations. They've engaged directly with New Hope Missionary Church. And several businesses have called them in the area, and they've talked to them specifically about what their plans are. They are committed to this being a collaborative process of moving forward. But, the civic institutional zone would be ideal. It's greater than 5 acres, which is what's required. You're already in an industrial area, and so the uses that could go into that, it's a HI for the sector plan, the 1-year plans, general industrial zoning. There's some pretty intense uses that can go on to that property as it is. It's been not in use. I think it was an old, what was it, Todd, before? It was that textile, but it hasn't been utilized in quite some time. It is sat abandoned for quite some time, and this is put this into reuse and addressing a dire need that this community has. And a dire need, it sounds like, this particular, not just the city of Knoxville, but this area needs as well. So we'd ask that you follow staff's recommendation. I have Mr. Gilbert here and Mr. Claiborne here from CARM that can answer any questions you may have. But this is going to be a collaborative process moving forward and working with the neighborhood to address their concerns. And the good thing about this property is there's enough space there where we can really do something intentional and thoughtful that could address those concerns. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mullins. I believe we have Commissioner Gill wanted to make a comment.
Yes, thank you. This is one of those things that is a challenge no matter how you approach things. We have folks who live in our community without homes, and they do have impacts on the surrounding neighborhood, and it is always it is a challenge when we are presented with this, with people who are making decisions. I will say that I do live close to this neighborhood. I have walked down 9th Street and across Mitchell Avenue on my way to the stadium because I refuse to pay for parking. I'm one of those guys. So I'm very familiar with this area, and I understand the concerns that the community has about bringing in a population that does have impact on the surrounding community. There's no doubt about that. That being said, that those people are already there. The bridge under there regularly hosts people who are sleeping and trying to get out of the rain. There is a greenway that passes through some of the park there area that is used quite extensively for them to travel. That whole area is already impacted by the homeless population. And when we're looking to locate services for the homeless, putting them as far away from where the homeless are and drawing them over there would have this, would elicit a lot of concern that we're bringing homeless to an area that doesn't host them. But then when we have an area where they host them, the concern is, oh, we're going to concentrate the effort. And it's kind of a lose-lose situation. And so I appreciate that the community is concerned. And as somebody who lives in this community, I am certainly aware of that. That said, CARM does a great job of serving the population that it needs it. They are a good steward of our community, and I think that, in so much that you can find a place that is far away from residences and as far away from possible impacts as that you can, that's a vanishingly small amount of suitable locations to try to mitigate impact while still providing the services that people desperately need. And I will say this, that homeless people are people. These are citizens and are, people who live in our own community. So we need to have services for these people. And I think that I agree that CARM has tried to find the best balance possible to be able to place this. And, I understand the impact because it does affect me directly as well. But I think that this is a solution that can bring the services necessary. These are women and children that we're talking about that need a roof over their head. I would prefer them to not be under the bridge. To be frank, I drive my kids through this neighborhood to go to the Kanzler Park, which is just across the way there. There's a lot of open and industrial area that's already attracting this population, and to give them a place to be that's safe, that we can have controls on, where there are oversight to be able to keep those people safe, I think is a win for our community overall. We just can't ignore these people. So I think with that, pending anybody else's comments, I think
Commissioner Anderson had a comment real quick.
All right, I'll wait.
He was the one that pulled it off, so I'd say let's let him talk.
This is tough. I think that the proposed use, or what I think the proposed use is fine. I don't have any objection to that. But I feel like this is a perfect example of spot zoning, and it's what we always try to avoid anytime we're going in the other direction, say. But this is an industrial area. It's intended to be an industrial area, and it's got the railroad spur behind it. I mean, it has all the characteristics to remain an industrial area, and we need industrial areas in our city. And if we rezone this, first of all, it starts to set a precedent about maybe this isn't an industrial area. And it does have impacts from buffers and whatnot that would be required from the surrounding businesses if they further develop, because all of a sudden now they're not up against an industrial zone. I would love to see this project happen. I think there might be a creative way to do it without losing the industrial zone, and I just think that needs to be considered. I think that we've seen it before where we've had to, I think, revise maybe the light industrial place type for something over on Central Avenue and Cedar, where we had I think it was it was an office of some sort that fabricated things. There are needs. I mean, I've been visiting two different businesses in this area frequently over the last couple months for two different needs, and one of them is they have to be an industrial area, but there's just a small little shop and there's nowhere else for them to go. And I don't know. I just to me, we're making a change to fit the need of something that we want, but that's the exact thing we try to avoid in other scenarios. And so I'd like to at least discuss if there's a way to do this with the light industrial place type in IMU zone.
So, Ms. Bousquet, there we go. Can you speak to that? I mean, is there a way to do or even a similar use determination or something like that could be in this zone? Or I'm just throwing out an idea, but I think.
I mean, just saying, like the IMU zone, like a lot of the buzzwords that staff uses in their reports are the same buzzwords that we use in the description of the IMU zone. I realize that this is not necessarily kind of rehabbing an old existing structure, but it's a property that's now changed in terms of what its maybe ideal use is. And so I just want to throw that out.
I think Director Brooks wanted to
I'll just add,
start.
we don't do special, similar use determinations. That's something that we can only do in the county. The county's code allows us to do that. In terms of, I might defer to Mr. Mullins. I think they've done a lot of research into what zone would be appropriate for the use that they want, and I think that's how they landed in this particular zone.
Commissioner Hill.
Yeah, I'm somewhat in a similar thought mode of Commissioner Anderson, and I'm a huge proponent of the nonprofits such as CARM and Care Cuts, and very involved in some of those, and there is a need out there. But looking at this case, it's not even about them. It's about this process here where I read through the staff case here, and, it says there's no changes in the area, but civic and institutional, we don't deal with a lot of civic and institutional, so I think it's a good opportunity to have a discussion here about how it may operate a little differently, because it seems like when schools are in neighborhoods, do they default back to another zone when they're potentially reused? It seems like Giffen School, wasn't it like RN4 or something like that? And then, go ahead.
You're going exactly where I was thinking when Commissioner Anderson brought this up, was that when we've seen things like this before, it's gone to PD. And is this a PD option?
Yeah, and
Because
and
that's
I
what
understand
Giffen
it's
did.
less intensive. I get that, but I've also seen our group and staff reports where less intensive zonings weren't appropriate because they seem to be incompatible. I remember one over there at Lakeshore Park where they said residential was incompatible because the lights might keep them awake from the Lakeshore Park. So this one just kind of befuddles me a little bit. I just hope that we have some discussion to give some clarity.
I would say, I don't want to lose sight. I would be curious to get your opinion on the light industrial and the IMU.
So one thing I will say is that industrial mixed use does not permit the proposed use by the applicant.
But it does permit multifamily, right?
It does permit multifamily, but it doesn't permit their proposed use.
Mr. Gill.
I appreciate, Commissioner Anderson, your comments. Spot zoning is the boogeyman, and I have often used that exact. So it's nice to be presented with my own words. I appreciate that. I value your comments on that. But I think that Commissioner Hill was kind of going the way I was thinking in this regard, is that when we're talking about spot zoning, we have a broad swath of RN1, and we want to stab CG1 in the middle of it. That's not appropriate. We're spot zoning. There's not broad swaths of institution. Institution in civic and institution is supposed to be something that we say, oh, we need a school in this. If we follow the logic that we shouldn't zone things institution, then when a school needs to go into a neighborhood, we're arguing that that's a spot zoning because there's no institution around there. And institution is a standalone zone in the sense that it's not intended to be broadly swathed across multiple areas. It needs to be in harmony where, but it's there to serve the interest of that neighborhood with a institution or a civic institution that can serve a need. That's what that zone is, and that's not going to be something that, in my mind, is something that you're spot zoning. You're putting it where the need is. If we need a water treatment facility, we need to make sure that we're not impacting the neighborhood unduly, but the water treatment facility needs to go where the neighborhood needs it. If you need a school, you got to put it where the neighborhood is. You don't, it's not, I think, subject to spot zoning because it is it's a zoning that is supposed to be fulfilling a need of a community. I'm not making a comment to whether or not it is appropriate within this industrial zone. I think that you and I probably feel differently about that, but I want to be clear that I don't think that institutional zoning counts. You want to open up a college. I mean, I work every day on a zoned institutional. I'm a college, right? So putting those things where they go, a justice center, a courthouse, a school, a utility, a laydown yard, something that you need in order to fulfill the greater good of the community, you're going to want to place those where that need is needed. And that may not always be clean. You're going to have to put it where the need is. This is a facility that there is a population there that needs services. They found an area to do so. That's why it's being zoned institutional. If we start trying to mix it in my opinion, as a similar use, an industrial mixed use or something, then it can go anywhere. And that's kind of what we're trying to avoid, is we want to be able to say, this is one of those situations where it is appropriate versus not, and put it for this body. I think it's clear where I feel, so I'm not going to go back into that, but I don't think spot zoning applies when we're talking about civic and institution, just my thought.
We can ignore my spot zone comment.
Well, that was mine, really. Or, yeah, yours. I was about the special use. Well, and I do struggle with this too, because I'm big about consistency. And as this body, and we do get a lot of staff reports that say, hey, you can do this because there has been a change, or you can't do this because there has not been a change. And that's, where I'm looking at it. In introduction, one of the reasons to be able to change the land use classification is there an introduction to significant new roads or utilities that were not anticipated in the plan, and now it's more feasible? No, there has not been any change over there. And I love CARM too. I'm a big supporter of these types of things. But again, we are always taught that we don't look at the use, we look at the zone, and we're just on what is appropriate, and it's been heavy industrial for a long time. Again, I've heard a lot of comments from other commissioners of things saying, well, okay, well, it's vacant now and it's empty now, but we need heavy industrial in the city of Knoxville. It doesn't mean that we can't change it, but I like to see consistency in our rulings and our advice to city council and county commission. I'm just making a comment for discussion. So I think I saw Commissioner Adams.
I think we also tend to, when there's a downzoning, go for it. So this is a downzoning in an industrial area, and so that's one reason. Forget proposed use, but we tend to vote in favor of those. So when I look at that, that's influencing my decision. But again, Commissioner Hill did not respond at all to my comment about planned development, but if that is what happened with Giffen, and this is a question, would that be something that is feasible for this particular site, given the proposed use that would fit the qualifications of PD and perhaps bring the community? We've already got neighborhoods saying yay, but there are still voices that are not happy with that. Would it potentially bring those closer?
Chair, if I may respond?
Please do.
Okay. That seems like a reasonable option, because then it goes back to the base zoning in planned development. And so you've preserved potentially heavy industrial again. So if CARM goes away, we've got the heavy industrial. In that way, it satisfies, I think, the needs of the entire community. And I would love to hear from staff on that.
So I'll say staff has not considered planned development for this particular property. I think that it is different than some of the schools that you mentioned that have been redeveloped. I don't think it's a direct comparison that you can draw, but as of right now, we're not prepared to provide you all with what our thoughts would be specifically on this site for planned development.
Just for an option, do you want to consider a postponement on this?
Give me a second if you don't mind.
Sure. Commissioner Adams, did you want to comment while he was?
I was essentially asking the same thing that you were, just
Very
in
good.
terms of if we want staff to consider that, or if they are willing to consider that.
Commissioner Browning, did you have a comment while we were?
Oh, I was just thinking, it is a tough one, but I was thinking, there are other businesses. Are we giving consideration to the other businesses around this piece of property? We just heard this guy get up, that owns an industrial or works in an industrial capacity. He's got 60 employees, they have families. I mean, this guy gets up every day, he pays taxes, and to think about, 5 years from now, if he was out of business because of, or it negatively affected his business because of this decision, I mean, that'd be a tough one. I wouldn't feel good about that.
Commissioner Hill.
I mean, I would love for them to consider looking at plan development because I think, we have been chipping away at heavy industrial over time and maybe rightfully so, but, do we have, I don't know the inventory of heavy industrial in our city. Do we have ample? I know, you could argue it has sat empty for a period of time, but, heavy industrial often, it takes a unique user that they're just not standing in the wings waiting. But when they do have the need, then there's no inventory. And I think if we could just look at plan development, maybe postpone, that could be a viable option.
Commissioner Anderson.
I just want to add to that, this site has been empty, but the businesses around it are also, I mean, it seems to be overall a thriving may be the wrong word, but I mean, there are a lot of businesses there that are seemingly doing well, and I don't see why this area wouldn't continue to need to serve that need.
Councilor Mullins,
I believe, Mr. Lansden, the property owner, he said he could speak to, the issues he has had trying to, market and sell this property and have it used for industrial development. But Mr. Gilbert with CARM wanted to speak about one of the reasons going to plan development is, it's a very delayed process, and I think he wanted to speak to the urgency of this. If I could let him speak for a little bit, I think I have a couple of minutes left.
Sure, that'd be great. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Todd Gilbert, 5708 Grasswalk Lane. Appreciate the brief time I'm going to take for this. I just want to talk about the urgency and the plight that we're actually in. Homelessness has increased beyond what most people will ever admit or recognize, that we're on pace with Denver, San Diego, San Francisco, Los Angeles right now when it comes to per capita homelessness. With 2,100 plus people seeking homelessness on a daily basis, we have 435 beds. This isn't if you build it, they will come. It's they're already here, and how can we serve people? We have a 104% increase in women. 20 families on the waiting list. Last week alone, we had to turn 10 families away. 10 families away. 70 plus families are in their cars, and that's just what we can count. When we came in here, your consent was to say yes. I would implore you, for our neighbors, to relieve density from the 400 block of Broadway, for the mothers with children who can't even shower, can't even give their babies baths. Don't know where their meals are going to come from. They're walking and having to hold their pants up because no one's there to give them a belt. Their shoes, their soles of their shoes are falling off. I'd implore you to stick with where you came in this morning to say yes, because the urgency is now, and our neighbors deserve better.
Thank you for your comments.
I think with the time I have, I think Mr. Coker at the Bell Morris, he had a statement also he wanted to state.
Could state your name and address, Mr. Coker.
Hi, Jack Coker, 2407 Coker Avenue in the Bell Morris neighborhood. So Bell Morris is a neighborhood of about 800 households. Given its size, I understand that while I speak, even while being the elected board president of Bell Morris Neighbors, I unfortunately cannot hope to know what every neighbor thinks about this project. But what I can speak to is what I have heard from the majority of our registered members. My message here today is that I and the board believe that this is an appropriate rezoning, and we support the future redevelopment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coker.
I think the property owner wanted to say something really briefly. Thank you.
We've got about a minute left.
Carl Lanston, 1201 Clinch Avenue, Knoxville. I purchased this property from a gentleman by the name of Bob Pollock. Some of you probably familiar, Mr. Pollock. I purchased this property about 11 years ago. And when I purchased it, there weren't many businesses over there next to me. And humbly, restoring about a 93,000 square foot building. We literally had people stop by, oh my goodness, what you've done with this building, what have you. And we've talked about a human aspect here tonight, and we've also talked about a business aspect as well. And to put things in perspective for this body, I want you all to know that I'm going to have a contract on the adjacent warehouse next to me for my own warehouse purposes. This building, I've had it on the market for about 2 years. And while we're talking about businesses, I had it under contract with 2 businesses. One, a regional heating and air company, and another one that wasn't local here as well. Contracts didn't go through. But when Carm approached me, I couldn't have been more elated to partner up with them. And like I said, I've had this building for 11 years when there wasn't other businesses adjacent to me.
If you could wrap it up, we would appreciate it.
But when we talked about both aspects, human and our fellow citizens and a business, I'm going all in again because I'm going to put the warehouse adjacent to me under contract. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lansing. Yes, it's a very emotional and complicated and situation. Commissioner Gill.
Yeah, I'll maybe my final comment. I guess it's important that we protect all the different land uses that we have, and it's very clear that there is a need for industrial sites and the like. I think that where I'm getting hung up here is a little bit is that we have heard of a proven need that needs to be able to serve the community right now, versus a need for heavy industrial where that site has been empty for quite some time. It continues to be empty. That railroad that runs right by it serves the Southern Knitting Mill, which is just right off of the map here, which has been empty so much that it is now completely derelict. It's been burnt down by the homeless who have been sheltering in that multiple times. It has been on the market for so long that there's been multiple proposals that come across to try to redevelop that. It hasn't happened yet. There's lots of spots here that industrial development just didn't work and hasn't worked. And I think it's important that we preserve areas for industrial use, but if there's not somebody who's lining up to actually use it, and yet we have a use in front of us that could serve the needs of the community. We have presidents of communities saying that this is a need. We've got a trusted civic organization who is telling us what the dire conditions are. I'm not saying that we shouldn't always protect heavy industrial or give that area, but we're not talking about rezoning this to turn it into a commercial and saying, oh, well, this is more important than industrial. We're talking about an area that has no need for it as an industrial site at the moment, and one that does have a need to mitigate some really impactful and damaging things on women and children. And I would implore the rest of this commission to consider the human impact in regards to protecting an industrial site.
Commissioner Adams.
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve the civic and institutional land use classification based upon staff's recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Motion by Karen Adams to approve the civic institutional land use classification, and a second by Commissioner Perez. And I just want to remind everybody too that there's been a lot of impassioned discussion here. I think it's good discussion. Both sides have validity of the discussion. So whatever this body decides, we'll have 3 motions that we'll need to vote on, all the way down through there regardless. So before we go to a vote, though, I'll call on Commissioner Anderson.
So since I started this, I'll chime in. I mean, the use is wonderful. I mean, just to be clear, like I don't think anybody up here has any, wishes to not see that come to fruition. I guess it sounds like there might be a way to make this work without having to change the zoning and the plan. I'm disappointed that because of a timing issue, we're not going to explore that. I mean, the problem that we're trying to solve is not new. And so, I mean, to just rush this through because of a sense of urgency, I don't necessarily buy into that. And I think that we have property owners around here that are going to be impacted potentially long-term in a negative way that don't have to be, right? And so that's all my point, and I'll finish with that, is that we are potentially going to vote to approve something that harms people because we won't take time to figure it out. And there are so many, we talk about needs, and it kills me that we didn't approve increasing the density or the potential density to build on at least 2 lots today, even though we stand up here and say there's this critical need for housing. But I guess that's just picking and choosing which needs we want to subject land to be zoned for. And so I wish we were more consistent on our message in that regard, but that's all I'll say.
Great, so we have some more lights on. Yeah. Mr. Biggs hadn't spoken yet. I'll call on Commissioner Biggs.
I just had a question about the timing. If we were to explore the plan development, and understandably that would not be approved today, but like, what does that timing impact look like? I guess question for maybe staff.
How long would it take is what your question is?
Exactly.
Well, that's a bit complicated. I would say at least several months. Plan development is typically initiated by the property owner or the applicant. They approach us, and I really would point back to the purpose statement. I know I've mentioned it in previous applications that the purpose of the plan development is to encourage and allow more creative and flexible development of land than is possible under district zoning regulations currently. And then, of course, it goes on to, so it's a multi-stage process that involves both our staff as well as city staff review, and then multiple reviews and approvals by this body and city council.
Okay. So you'd guess, a couple months, I guess, would be the...
I would say it'd be longer than a couple months
Okay.
in terms of, to actually enter into that process. But at least a couple months for us to even have the discussion of whether or not it would be appropriate.
Okay, I'm surprised it's that long for, if we know the use for this case, but I guess that's helpful.
Yeah,
Mike?
there was a similar project, VMC did supportive housing in Park Ridge neighborhood, and I think their first application, of course, this was a brand-new building, not a rehab project. And it was, that was right after the new zoning code took effect. I think their application was an April application, and then their final plan, so that was for preliminary plan, and then their final plan was in November of that year. So this kind of gives you an idea of what kind of timeline might be involved, but again, that was a new build, and the gap in the 2 applications may have been just refining their plan and not really anything to do with the process itself. But it is a multi-step, and it's definitely more than a couple of months. It's going to take probably 5 months, maybe, easily.
Thank you, Mike. This is a tough one. Okay, so Commissioner Adams, and then we'll go to the vote.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that I'm trying to be consistent and recognize that I'm not supposed to pay attention to the proposed use. And that if this was coming before the body, no proposed use at all, and it was a downzoning in an industrial area to the civic and institutional use, I would vote in favor of it. So I feel comfortable on that point making the motion. I did suggest plan development, would still be happy if that was pursued, but the applicant is not expressing interest in that today. I know that we're a recommending body, and so this will have further discussion down road, and we've got this on record now about plan development being an option. So I'm trying to move this forward in the best way possible and to be consistent. And because of that downzoning, that's where I feel comfortable being able to go ahead and make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. I believe Commissioner Hill had a comment.
Just curious, how long did it, 2 things. One, regardless, I can't vote against women and children, so I'm not going to do that. But 2, how long did it take the stadium under plan development? Was that a lengthy?
Ms. Porte, do you remember? It was lengthy.
Was it?
In terms of our initial
I mean,
discussions.
that's probably one of the hardest ones that we would have ever done. But that would give you an idea, it would fall likely within that period, because that's probably the hardest one we've done.
Yes. I don't know, I'd have to look
But,
at our
I mean, do you have a
timeline.
rough idea? Was it?
Those
So to get
applications
through-
actually came in pretty, Michelle, you were.
Yeah,
part
it
of
was
that.
my project. The original application came in, and then a couple of months later, we were reviewing it here at this body, and then a couple of months later, it came in as a final plan. I will say they did a lot of legwork before we saw it as a plan. They were working with the city prior to that, and doing a charrette project. So I can't tell you from inception to when it came through how long that process was.
Just roughly, yeah.
Also that one is several blocks. It was huge, so the scale of it is way different than what we're talking about today. But I probably want to say it was probably at least 6 months before they even came to us, if I had to guess.
I would say it was longer than that. It was over a year in terms of the stadium
Yeah.
from inception.
I just wanted to go to the
yeah.
most extreme
Yeah, it would be
planning
over a year.
development case and work backward.
Yeah, so on that one, I would just say that one did come in for preliminary plan in like September, and then 2 months later, we saw it in November, I think, something like that for the final plan. And really is because it had so much done on the front end that by the time we got to the preliminary plan, the final plan was pretty much ready to go. Like, it was a very, prepared and ready to move forward type of a plan development. So a lot of legwork on the front end. They probably haven't gotten to that point yet with this project.
Well, all right, here we are. Yeah, Commissioner Biggs, you had one last comment.
So, I guess I was curious, like, this is the first time sort of like I'm aware of this project. Like, when did staff become aware of this project?
I'd say we're not aware of necessarily a project. We were approached about a rezoning.
Yeah.
I believe the applicant had conversations with city zoning staff to determine what would be most appropriate for the use that they were interested in. But then an application was submitted to us for consideration of the zoning change.
And I guess, just when did those conversations like start?
I can't speak to when they initially had those conversations. I would defer to the applicant of when they first started discussing it.
Okay, and I guess I'm wishing we're at like this point where we have to, I feel like, vote yes or no, and it would be nice if we were able to have had this conversation months ago when this initially was discussed with the city, discussed with that, I don't know when those conversations occurred, but because there, I think, are other solutions, but unfortunately, we're up against what feels like a time issue here, and it's limiting options, I feel like, practically, which is regrettable. So I guess just maybe a request if there's similar situations going forward that we can, I don't know, have conversations at an earlier time to explore alternative options, like, because I feel like plan development to me seems like the best choice, but given circumstances, not one that's practical today, is my sentiment.
Absolutely.
I just, Commissioner Biggs, for just a little bit of clarification for us. So are you requesting, so when uses like this that generate a lot of conversation and someone's wanting to pursue establishment of this type of use, are you asking that those come to you all a little bit earlier, specific to the use?
I guess, I just, yeah.
It might be a little challenging, though. I mean,
maybe it's not a fair ask on my part. I don't know. I just
and the reason I say that, I mean, because who knows what's controversial, not controversial. This was actually
Yeah.
on consent originally.
Yeah,
Clearly,
yeah,
there's
okay.
a lot of discussion about it. So
Sometimes we don't know what they're doing.
yeah,
no, it's fair. Yeah, sorry, I don't have a solution for the challenge here.
no, but it's a good thought. I mean, we all want to try to make the best decision for everybody involved in the county and the city, the landowner, the people who live in our city and county, and this will be an interesting vote. But seeing no other lights, we do have a motion to approve. Again, this is one of three motions. A motion to approve the civic and institutional land use classification because it would permit the reuse of a large former industrial site and provide a transition in land use intensity. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, we need a motion on, for number 2, staff's recommendation is to approve CI, civic and institutional land use classification because it would permit the reuse of a large former industrial site and provide a transition in land use intensity. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Second. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Adams, a second by Commissioner Gill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion number 3 is to approve the institutional zone because it would permit the reuse of a large former industrial site.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Adams and a second by Commissioner Gill to approve. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, that was a good one. So we are on to agenda item number 46. The applicant is David Nicely. The location, the west side of Shelburne Road at the intersection with Doak Drive, northwest of Washington Pike. The size of the tract is 16,011 square feet. The present zoning is RN1. The zoning requested is RN2. Let's see, staff recommends to deny the RN2 as it is inconsistent with the conditions in the area and with the scale of the neighborhood lots. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Mr. Nicely, if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
David Nicely, 518 Washburn, Tennessee, 37888.
Are there any folks in opposition to this application? Seeing none, please feel free to speak, Mr. Nicely.
Well, I'm here regarding 302-1 Shelburne Road. What I want to do, this is zoned RN1, and I'm requesting it to be RN2. It's a large lot. The size of the property is 120 feet wide by 136. It's a very large lot. And we know that you have need of more housing in Knoxville, and this is the only lot left in this location that's not built on. And I don't think anybody here, there would object to having 2 houses on that lot. And it's important to note, too, that this request fits the zoning context of the area. Shelburne Road connects directly to Pinehurst Drive, which already contains RN3 and RN4 zoning, along with nearby commercial use such as Home Depot. This area also supports a range of zoning types. In short, improving this request will benefit the residents. It'll be, what I would build on this would be 2 houses, a single-family houses that a low-income family could buy, because houses are so high now in Knoxville. Not many people can buy them, especially not $350,000 and $400,000 houses. These would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $250,000 to $270,000. That would be a perfect house for any family that couldn't afford a $350,000 to $400,000 house. And so my request is that simply to have it rezoned to RN2, that I could build 2 houses on it and split the lots, which would be 60 by 136 feet. And it would also create more taxes for the city of Knoxville. And so that's my request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nicely. All right, so we've got an RN1 zoning and a request to go to RN2. The staff is recommending denial, and Commissioner Anderson.
Curious, the ordinance amendment that we talked about earlier, would that, where we could do potentially on a special use, a duplex on this lot, would that apply here theoretically?
Director Brooks might be able to speak to that, but I think it would, once it was, of course,
Right,
adopted by the
right.
city council, but they would be attached
Right.
versus two single-family, what he's suggesting, but.
It'd be the SFA.
Right, the SFA.
And I want to say too, that this would be an asset to that community. These would be new homes with garages on them. It would make the community look a whole lot better than it does now, because most of the people in there are renting those houses, and it's kind of run down already. So it would be a help to that community.
Thank you. I think Director Brooks was trying to verify that that would be, no, it's a fair question. We've been talking about it a lot today, so.
I mean, under the current RN1 zoning, they could do a duplex
And
as a special use.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the single-family attached,
Yeah.
it could also accommodate that.
Right, but they would be attached. His specific request, I think, is to be able to subdivide it to build two detached homes.
Yes.
Is the request, so.
They would be single-family homes, not duplexes.
I think, go ahead, Karen.
Unless you were super dialed in to what we were talking about much, much earlier today, I just want to make sure there's a new option that is not yet completely codified, but it was voted on today that presents a new building type. It is called SFA, and it looks from the street like one structure, but it is actually owned on both sides. So it's not how most of us think of a duplex in the sense that it's rented on both sides. It's actually owned on both sides. So
Yes.
that's what Commissioner Anderson was suggesting.
Yes, it would be two separate lots, a house on each lot.
The houses would be connected. Some people might
They
call
would
these
not
townhouses.
connect. The houses would not connect.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say I understand. I think that what Commissioner Adams described might be a good option, but I think staff's analysis is correct here, so I'd like to make a motion to deny it per staff's recommendation.
Second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Anderson and a second by Commissioner Butler to deny the RN2 request. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
You'll have to, yeah, and I would check into that, what Commissioner Anderson was talking about, the single-family attached, because you can still build two separately owned buildings. They'll be attached, but they'll be separate ownership. So just, you might want to check into that one,
Well,
or call our staff.
that would be a duplex.
It would be, but you just call the staff. Yeah. Townhouse, right. Just, I would encourage you to call staff and get clarification on that later. Thank you, Mr. Nicely.
Well, I want to say that I appreciate all of you, but I've learned something here today. If you want to really get something done, you better have a lawyer. And
I'm
I
sure.
didn't see him lose one case. Thank you.
All right, very good. Well, this is our last agenda. This is the last item.
53.
Okay, we're moving on to 53. Is there any more after this?
Off consent. No, that's all.
Okay, this is the last item on the agenda. So the lucky people pulled this one off and got to stay for the whole meeting. So this is an applicant, is Joseph Hall. The location is south side of McCullough Avenue, east side of Patton Street, west side of South Bell Street. The size of the tract is 8,408 square feet. The current zoning is industrial mixed use. The existing land use is commercial. The proposed use is vocational educational facility for a welding makerspace. Our staff recommendation is to approve the request for a vocational education facility for welding in approximately 3,000 square feet of floor area in the industrial mixed-use district, subject to 3 conditions. Is the applicant present? Do we have the applicant? Okay. They couldn't hang around that long, I think. So we have somebody pulled it off consent. Who do we have? Okay, could you come back down and state your name and address for the record and your concerns, please?
Nancy Voigt, 3900 Forest Lane, Knoxville, Tennessee. I don't really have concerns, but I would like to understand what's going to happen there because we have a warehouse property catty-cornered. And so we just need to understand what the applicant is wanting to do, and is it a 24/7 facility? Are they using the whole facility for welding? I think that used to be a KPD, sort of a black ops site sort of thing. So I'm just trying to understand what is happening with the applicant there.
So, Ms. Boyd, I believe Mr. Reynolds is the one that actually reviewed that. He might be able to
Okay.
speak a little bit to it.
Yeah, I can try. So the applicant did provide a plan of operations where they did specify that their operating hours are between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., so more like a typical office hour. So it is an educational facility. It's not something that would be open all the time. They're only going to occupy the ground floor of that structure. So there's the two-story office building, and then there's another structure behind that's very close to it that's separate. So they'll only be on the first floor. There is a floor plan in the packet. It should be.
Mike, is this something that we can release to Ms. Boyd, or do we just try to connect Mr. Hall?
I mean, yeah, it's on.
It's online.
Yeah, it's online, and we can get you access to it. And I guess talking to the applicant is obviously the best thing because they're going to know everything about their program. I can only tell you what it says in their packet, unfortunately. So.
Okay. Did you meet the applicant?
Not face to face, no.
Okay.
Well, I think, Ms. Boyd, I mean, I think if maybe after this vote, you can coordinate with Mike about trying to get that meeting set up. You guys can do that. But for here, we're, staff is recommending approval of this.
Yeah, I have no objection. I was hoping he would be here, and then I
Yeah.
would be able to understand
Yeah,
what
they
his intent was.
Usually are, but he may have had to leave because the meeting's run a little longer. But
Right.
But yeah, I think if you don't have any objection, I'll
No
go to
objection.
commission here and see
Mike,
if.
I will come and see you.
Yes, that'd be
Thank
perfect.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. All right, so staff recommendation is to approve the special use request, and Chair will entertain a motion. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Barger and a second by Commissioner Anderson to approve the special use for the welding educational facility. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you much. Meeting is adjourned. I'm sorry, okay. Number 13. Was it on consent?
Yeah, they're both on consent.
So are you Mr. Seal and Mr. Shepherd, I'm assuming?
I'm Mr. Shepherd.
Okay, yeah. Both of those were actually approved on our consent list. I hate to tell you this at the very beginning of the meeting. So both item number 12 and item number 13 are approved. They will move forward to City Council or County Commission. Can you come to the, just state your name and address, please?
David Seal, 5620 Tazewell Pike, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37918.
Yes, sir.
I was wanting to subdivide that lot into 3 lots, residential, so I could build my son a house on the right side of it.
Right.
So I just wasn't sure if that should have been added to the
request at the time.
request at that time.
Yeah, I would suggest just hooking up with one of the staff members after, because the meeting is over effectively. So, yeah, just, who?
Well, I can talk to him right now.
Okay, great. If you want to come up here, we'll answer that.
Sounds great.
That's Jake's. Oh, Jake, okay. Okay, well, thank you. The meeting is adjourned.